My parents' kitchen still smells exactly like it did when I was growing up. A mix of mom's signature pot roast and disappointment. I'm Marcus Evans, 32, and I'm sitting at the same oak table where I've been told I wasn't good enough for the past 2 decades. Pass the potatoes, please, my sister Amanda says sweetly, perfectly manicured nails drumming against the tablecloth. She's always been the golden child, graduated with honors, married a doctor, gave our parents the grandchildren they wanted, everything I wasn't. So Marcus, Mom starts, her voice carrying that familiar edge. Still doing that, what do you call it, computer thing? She waves her hand dismissively, as if my entire career could be brushed away like crumbs from her precious tablecloth. It's a software development company. Mom, we just secured our biggest contract yet. Oh please, she cuts me off. You're just a dropout who got lucky. Anyone can play with computers these days. The words sting, even though I've heard variations of them countless times before. Dad jumps in, unable to resist the opportunity to compare his children. Your sister just made partner at her law firm. Now that's a real career. He beams at Amanda, who preens under the attention. You'll never be like your sister. Marcus, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? I take a slow sip of water, checking my watch. The timing needs to be perfect. Speaking of real jobs, Amanda chimes in. Did you hear about the mansion the Evans Technology CEO just bought? The one overlooking the bay? That's what happens when you finish college and work hard, little brother. She smirks, completely unaware of the irony in her words. The doorbell rings right on cue. Who could that be during Sunday dinner? Mom frowns, starting to rise. That would be my assistant, I say calmly, finally allowing myself a small smile. I asked her to bring some papers by. Your assistant? Dad scoffs. What kind of small-time computer repair shop needs an assistant? The clicking of heels on hardwood announces Sarah's arrival. She's dressed impeccably in a tailored suit, carrying a leather portfolio that probably costs more than my parents' monthly mortgage payment. Not that they'll have to worry about those payments much longer. Mr. Evans, I have those documents you requested, Sarah says professionally, though I catch the slight twinkle in her eye. She knows what's coming. Thank you. Sarah, would you mind explaining to my family what those papers are? Sarah opens the portfolio with a flourish. Of course, sir. These are the mortgage papers for this property, recently purchased by Evans Technology Holdings. As of last week, your son's company owns this house and all surrounding properties in the development. The silence that falls over the dining room is absolute. Even Amanda's constant fidgeting stops. Ma'am, Sarah continues, addressing my mother directly, your son owns your house. Mom's fork clatters against her plate. Dad's face has gone an interesting shade of purple. Amanda looks like she's swallowed her tongue. This is some kind of joke. Dad sputters. You can't possibly. Evans Technology Holdings, I say quietly, the company that just bought the mansion on the bay, the one Amanda was just talking about. Did none of you ever wonder why it had my name? But you're just. Mom trails off, unable to finish her familiar refrain about me being a failure. Just a dropout who got lucky, I finish for her. You know what's funny, Mom? All those years you were ashamed of me quitting college. You never once asked why. You never asked about the software I was developing in my dorm room instead of going to classes. You never asked about the investors who saw its potential. You were too busy comparing me to Amanda to notice I was building something bigger than any law degree. I stand up, straightening my jacket, the one Mom had sneered at earlier, calling it cheap looking. It's bespoke, worth more than her car. Sarah, please make sure my parents get copies of everything. They should know their new landlord's terms. I head for the door, then pause. Oh, and Mom? Next time you want to call someone a failure at Sunday dinner, you might want to check who owns the table you're sitting at first. As I walk out, I hear the rustling of papers as Sarah begins explaining the details. I don't need to stay to watch their worlds implode. I've been waiting for this moment for 15 years, and now that it's here, I find I don't need to see their faces to feel vindicated. The story of how I got here is more interesting anyway. 15 years earlier, I was indeed a college dropout, though not for the reasons my parents assumed. I had just finished my freshman year at State University, and while my grades were decent enough, my mind was elsewhere, I'd been working on a piece of security software in my spare time, something that could revolutionize how companies protected their data. My roommate James was the only one who understood. While everyone else was partying or studying, we were coding through the night, fueled by energy drinks and determination. This could be big, Marcus, James said one night, staring at our latest test results. Like, change the world big. He wasn't wrong, but we needed money to develop it properly, and my parents had made it clear they wouldn't support anything that didn't involve a proper education. They'd already threatened to cut off my tuition if my grades didn't improve. The decision to drop out wasn't easy, but it was necessary. James and I took our prototype to every investor we could find. We got laughed out of more offices than I can count, but we kept going. Then came the day that changed everything. We managed to get a meeting with Victoria Chen, a venture capitalist known for taking chances on unconventional startups. She listened to our pitch, asked some tough questions, and then said the words that would alter the course of my life. I'll give you $2 million in seed funding, under one condition. You drop out and focus on this full-time. My parents' reaction when I told them I was leaving school was exactly what you'd expect. You're throwing your life away, Mom had screamed, just like your Uncle Jack, another dreamer who ended up with nothing. Dad's disappointment was quieter but no less cutting. Your sister would never do something so foolish, he said, shaking his head. I guess we know which child inherited the sense in this family. They cut me off completely, financially and emotionally. For the next few years, I only saw them at mandatory family gatherings, where they took every opportunity to compare me to Amanda's rising success in law school. But I had something they couldn't see. While they were bragging about Amanda's internships, James and I were building something revolutionary. Our security software caught the attention of major tech companies. Contracts started rolling in. $2 million in seed funding turned into $20 million in Series A funding. By the time Amanda was celebrating passing the bar exam, I was closing deals worth more than she'd make in her entire legal career. Not that my parents noticed. They were too busy planning her wedding to such a successful young doctor. I kept quiet about my success, letting them believe what they wanted. I watched as they mortgaged their house to pay for Amanda's elaborate wedding, knowing even then that I would eventually own those mortgage papers. Some might call it petty, buying the entire development just to own my parents' house, but I prefer to think of it as investing in my past to secure my future. The next morning, my phone starts ringing early. It's Amanda, her name flashing on my screen like a warning signal. How could you? She demands without preamble. Mom hasn't stopped crying since yesterday. Interesting, I reply coolly. She didn't cry when she told me I was worthless at every family dinner for the past 15 years. That's different. She was just worried about you. We all were. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. No, Amanda, you weren't worried. You were judgmental. There's a difference. We're family, she insists, her voice taking on that self-righteous tone I know so well. Family supports each other. Really? Where was that support when I needed it? When I was working 18-hour days trying to get my company off the ground, when I couldn't afford rent but couldn't ask for help because I knew what the response would be. There's a pause on the other end of the line. When Amanda speaks again, her voice is smaller. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. None of you ever asked. You were too busy feeling superior. But buying their house? Marcus, that's going too far. Is it? Think of it as an investment, just like all those classes Mom and Dad paid for to make you the perfect daughter. What are you going to do? There's fear in her voice now. You wouldn't evict them, would you? I let the question hang in the air for a moment. That depends on them. And you. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm tired of being the family failure. Amanda, things are going to change, starting with how you all treat me. Or what? You'll throw our parents out on the street? Real mature, Marcus. No more mature than mocking someone's career choices while living in a house they secretly own. I counter. But don't worry, I'm not planning any evictions. Yet, consider this a wake-up call. The balance of power has shifted. Sister dear, I suggest you all adjust accordingly. I hang up before she can respond. Seconds later, my phone buzzes with a text from Dad. We need to talk. The meeting is set for that afternoon at my office. I make them come to me this time. No more Sunday dinners on their terms. My assistant Sarah shows them into the conference room, where floor-to-ceiling windows offer a stunning view of the city below. Mom's eyes are red-rimmed, but she's put on her best, dealing with difficult situations, face, the same one she used to wear to parent-teacher conferences when I was acting up in school. Dad looks uncomfortable in his dated suit, taking in the sleek modern decor and expensive art on the walls. Amanda insisted on coming too, though her usual confidence seems shaken. Nice office, Dad says stiffly. Must be doing well for yourself. Evans Technology is the fastest growing software security company in the country, I reply, but you'd know that if you ever bothered to ask. Why didn't you tell us? Mom bursts out. All these years, we thought. You thought what you wanted to think. I cut her off. It was easier than admitting you might have been wrong about me. We weren't wrong to be concerned, Dad argues. Dropping out of college made me a billionaire. I finish for him. Sorry if that doesn't fit your definition of success. Amanda gasps. A billionaire? I smile without warmth. Remember that mansion you were talking about at dinner? Want a tour? The view of the bay is spectacular. Marcus, please, Mom says, her voice trembling. We're your family. Whatever issues we have, we can work them out. You don't need to hold this house over our heads. Don't I? It seems to be the only way to get your attention. That's not fair. Amanda interjects. We always paid attention to you. No, you paid attention to what you thought I should be. There's a difference. I lean forward, meeting each of their eyes in turn. Do you want to know what's really not fair? Having your own mother call you a failure in front of family every Sunday. Having your father compare you to your perfect sister at every opportunity. Being treated like a cautionary tale instead of a son. The silence that follows is heavy with 2 decades of unspoken hurts. We were wrong, Dad finally says, the words seeming to physically pain him. Is that what you want to hear? What I want is for you to mean it, I reply, and not just because I own your house. More silence. Then Mom speaks up, her voice small but steady. How did you do it? Build all this? For the first time since they arrived, I feel a glimmer of hope. It's the first genuine question she's asked about my work in 15 years. So I tell them. About the late nights coding in my dorm room. About James and our breakthrough. About Victoria Chen taking a chance on us. About the years of hard work and sacrifice that they never saw because they were too busy focusing on Amanda's achievements. As I talk, I see something shift in their expressions. The fear and anger give way to something else. Understanding. Maybe. Or at least the beginning of it. The house is yours, I say finally. I'm not going to evict you. That was never the point. Then what was the point? Amanda asks. The point was to make you see me. Really see me. Not just the failure you thought I was. Mom starts to cry again. But these tears feel different. Dad looks like he's aged 10 years in the last hour. Amanda is uncharacteristically quiet. We have a lot to make up for, Dad says eventually. If you'll let us try. I consider this. Part of me wants to hold on to the hurt. To make them suffer like I did. But I think of what my success has taught me. That true power isn't about revenge. It's about choices. Sunday dinner, I say, but not at your house. At mine. And this time, everyone listens to everyone else. Deal? They nod, relief visible on their faces. As they get up to leave, Mom pauses. That software you developed, what does it actually do? I smile, a real smile this time. Come to dinner on Sunday. I'll tell you all about it. The following Sunday, I host dinner at my house, the mansion overlooking the bay that had so impressed Amanda before she knew it was mine. The table is set with the kind of casual elegance that Mom always strived for but never quite achieved. This is quite a place, Dad says as they arrive, trying to hide how impressed he is. It's home, I reply simply. Come on, I'll give you the tour before dinner. As we walk through the house, I can see them struggling to reconcile this reality with their long-held beliefs about me. Every room reveals another facet of my success. The state-of-the-art home office where I close multi-million-dollar deals. The wall of awards and recognition from the tech industry. The wine cellar stocked with bottles worth more than Dad's car. But it's in my workshop that I see the first real crack in their perception. It's where I still tinker with new ideas. Not so different from the dorm room where it all started. You still code? Amanda asks, genuinely curious. Every day, I nod. It's not just a job for me. It never was. That's what you all never understood. Mom runs her finger along a workbench, looking thoughtful. I remember when you were 10. You took apart our computer to see how it worked. Your father was so angry. I put it back together. I remind her. It worked better afterward. Yes, she says softly. Yes, it did. During dinner, the conversation is different from our usual family gatherings. Instead of criticism and comparisons, there are questions, real questions, about my work, my company, my life. So the software, Dad asks between bites. What made it different from what was already out there? I explain the technical details in terms they can understand, watching as they actually listen instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. Even Amanda seems genuinely interested. That's actually pretty impressive, she admits. I always thought you were just playing around with computers. That's because you never asked what I was actually doing, I point out, but without the bitterness that would have colored such a statement before. We should have, Mom says quietly. We should have asked a lot of things. The admission hangs in the air between us, not quite an apology, but a start. As we finish dessert, Dad clears his throat. About the house. Like I said, it's yours, I assure him. Consider it an investment in our future relationship. No, he says firmly. We'll pay rent, market rate. If we're going to fix this, we need to do it right. I study him for a moment, seeing something I've never seen before in his expression, respect. Okay, I agree, but the money goes into a trust, for Amanda's kids' college fund. I look at my sister, or whatever they want to do with their lives. Amanda's eyes fill with tears. Marcus. Because that's what family does. I continue. They support each other, even when, especially when, they choose a different path. Mom reaches across the table and takes my hand. Her grip is tight, as if she's afraid I might disappear if she lets go. We were wrong, she says, and this time, I know she means it. So wrong. Can you forgive us? I think about the years of hurt, the dismissal, the constant criticism. Then I think about the future. Sunday dinners where everyone's achievements are celebrated. Family gatherings without judgment. Nieces and nephews who might dream of following in their uncle's footsteps. I'm willing to try, I say finally, but things have to be different. They will be, Dad promises. We're listening now. And for the first time in 15 years, they really are. Epilogue. A year has passed since that first dinner at my house. Things aren't perfect. Decades of family dynamics don't change overnight, but they're better. Mom actually asks about my work now, and sometimes I catch her bragging to her friends about her innovative son in tech. Dad has started learning about computers, taking classes at the community center. He says he wants to understand my world better. Amanda and I have reached a new understanding. She even brought one of her clients, a tech startup looking for legal representation, to me for advice. We're learning to be siblings instead of rivals. The family house is still in my company's name, but my parents pay their rent on time every month. The trust for the grandkids is growing. More importantly, so is our ability to accept each other for who we are, not who we think each other should be. Last Sunday, during dinner at my parents' house, they insisted on hosting again. Now that we've reached a new normal, Mom asked me to explain my latest project to everyone. As I talked about the potential applications of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity, I noticed something that would have seemed impossible 2 years ago. They were all leaning forward, genuinely interested, not just tolerating my computer thing, but actually engaged with my passion. After dinner, as we were having coffee in the living room, Dad said something that made everything come full circle. You know, Marcus, I was wrong about one more thing. What's that? You're not like your sister, he said, then smiled. You're like yourself, and that turned out to be exactly who you needed to be. Coming from him, it was better than any business award I've ever received. As I drove home that night, I thought about how success isn't just measured in dollars or property deeds. Sometimes it's measured in changed minds and healed relationships. Sometimes the biggest achievements aren't the ones you can put on a wall, but the ones that happen around a dinner table, one Sunday at a time. I may own my parents' house, but they're finally starting to understand that they never owned my future, and that understanding is worth more than any property deed could ever be.
I was elbow-deep in white silk and lace when my mother-in-law's name flashed across my phone screen. Eleanor never called during business hours unless something was wrong, so my stomach did a little flip as I grabbed it. "Dana, darling, I need your help," she said, her voice carrying that familiar mix of sweetness and urgency that always preceded a family crisis. "Veronica's engaged again." I closed my eyes and counted to 3. My sister-in-law's engagements were becoming as predictable as seasonal allergies, except they caused more headaches. "That's wonderful," I managed, while carefully setting down the custom veil I'd been working on. "Who's the lucky guy this time?" "Jonathan Brooks, the real estate developer. You must have heard of him." Eleanor's voice rose with pride. "But Dana, sweetheart, that's not why I'm calling. Veronica wants you to design her wedding dress." The pins I was holding clattered to the floor. "Me? But she hates my work. Last Christmas she told everyone my designs were quaint and provincial." "Oh, she didn't mean that." Eleanor rushed to defend her daughter, as usual. "She's different now. Jonathan's helped her mature. Besides, your family, and she specifically requested you." I glanced around my boutique, taking in the dozens of wedding dresses in various stages of completion. My small team was already working overtime to meet our summer wedding commitments. "Eleanor, I'm booked solid for the next 6 months. When exactly is this wedding?" 8 weeks from Saturday." 8 weeks? I nearly choked. "That's impossible. Even basic alterations take." "Money isn't an issue," Eleanor interrupted. "Jonathan's very generous. Veronica says she'll pay whatever it takes." I walked to my office window, watching people hurry past on the busy Chicago street below. My reflection stared back at me, tired eyes, messy bun, and the determined expression I'd worn since opening this place 5 years ago. "Does Ethan know about this?" "I'm calling him next," Eleanor said. "But Dana, please. You know how important this is to Veronica. She's 40 now, and after 3 failed engagements." Her voice trailed off meaningfully. The guilt trip was right on schedule. I thought about my husband Ethan, caught between his dramatic sister and his wife, and how this would affect our relatively peaceful home life. Our kids, Lily and Noah, were still traumatized from Veronica's last wedding attempt, where she'd made them practice their flower girl and ring bearer duties for 6 hours straight. "I'll need to think about it," I said finally. "Let me talk to Ethan first." "Of course, darling. But please don't take too long. Veronica's coming by your shop tomorrow morning to discuss designs." "She's what?" But Eleanor had already hung up. I sank into my chair, mind racing. Veronica had spent years dismissing my business as a cute little hobby. Now she wanted me to design the dress for what she'd undoubtedly bill as the society wedding of the year. Something wasn't adding up. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "Mom just called. We need to talk tonight." Before I could reply, another message came through, this one from Sarah, my sister-in-law married to Ethan's younger brother Mark. "Heard about V's latest victim. You okay? Whined tonight." I started typing a response when my office door opened. Jenny, my assistant, poked her head in. "Dana, there's a delivery for you." She handed me an enormous arrangement of white roses with a card that read, "To my talented sister-in-law. Can't wait to collaborate on creating the perfect dress. Love, Veronica." The flowers were beautiful, expensive, and absolutely not Veronica's style. As I stared at the elaborate arrangement, a chill ran down my spine. My sister-in-law was many things, but she was never nice without a reason. Whatever game she was playing, I had a feeling I was about to become an unwilling participant. I picked up my phone and texted Sarah back. "Make it a bottle. Maybe 2. Sarah's wine nights were usually our chance to unwind and laugh about family drama, but tonight felt different. We sat in her cozy kitchen while Mark and Ethan took the kids to a movie, giving us space to process the Veronica situation. "I still can't believe she sent flowers," Sarah said, pouring her second glass. "When's the last time Veronica did anything nice for anyone?" "The Christmas she gave everyone gift certificates to that meditation studio she invested in," I replied, "right before it went bankrupt." "Ah yes, the great Zen scam of 2021. Sarah rolled her eyes. Why you? I'd been asking myself the same question all day. Maybe she's changed? Eleanor seems to think Jonathan's been a good influence. Sarah snorted. Or maybe she's planning something. Remember what happened with her last wedding dress designer? The memory made me wince. The poor woman had suffered a very public meltdown after Veronica trashed her reputation on social media, claiming the dress had ruined her perfect day. The designer closed her shop 6 months later. My phone buzzed, another text from Veronica. Can't wait for tomorrow. Bringing some magazine clippings for inspiration. Think Vera Wong meets Alexander McQueen, but make it uniquely me. Uniquely her? Sarah read over my shoulder. Does she mean impossible and overpriced? Before I could respond, the doorbell rang. Sarah frowned. Are the guys back already? But it wasn't the guys. It was Eleanor, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. I hoped I'd find you both here, she said, stepping into the kitchen. We need to talk about tomorrow. My stomach tightened. Eleanor, I haven't even agreed to. Veronica's bringing a reporter from Chicago Style magazine, she interrupted. They're doing a feature on local wedding designers, and she's convinced them to spotlight your boutique. Sarah's hand found mine under the table as I processed this. Without asking me first, it's an amazing opportunity, Eleanor pressed. Could destroy my business if anything goes wrong, I finished. You know how Veronica can be. Eleanor's face hardened slightly. What exactly are you implying about my daughter? Mom, Mark's voice came from the doorway. He and Ethan stood there, kids in tow, looking confused. What's going on? Just discussing Dana's exciting opportunity, Eleanor said brightly. Veronica's arranged. Ambushed, Sarah muttered. A wonderful feature in Chicago Style magazine. Ethan's eyes met mine across the room. After 12 years of marriage, I could read his expression perfectly, torn between supporting me and keeping peace with his family. The kids are tired, he said finally. We should head home. The drive home was quiet until Lily and Noah were safely tucked in bed. Then Ethan joined me in our bedroom, where I was angrily folding laundry. You don't have to do it, he said softly. Don't I? I threw a sock into the drawer, with more force than necessary. Your mother's already told half of Chicago about it. If I back out now, I look unprofessional and ungrateful. Since when do you care what people think? Since your sister made it her mission to turn every family event into a PR opportunity. The words burst out before I could stop them. I'm sorry, but Ethan, this feels wrong. The flowers, the magazine, it's like she's setting something up and I'm walking right into it. He was quiet for a moment. Maybe she's trying to make amends. Or maybe she's trying to make sure I can't say no without looking like the bad guy. I sat heavily on the bed. You know what the worst part is? Part of me wants to do it. To prove I can create something so beautiful even Veronica can't criticize it. Et hansat besidema, dock in my hand. Whatever you decide, I'm on your side. But as I lay awake later, his gentle snores beside me, I wondered if that was true. Tomorrow, Veronica would sweep into my boutique with her entourage and her demands, and everyone would expect me to smile and play along. The question wasn't whether I could create her perfect dress. It was whether I could survive being pulled into her orbit without losing myself in the process. My phone lit up with one final text from Veronica. Sweet dreams, sis. Tomorrow's going to be unforgettable. I had a sinking feeling she was right about that. I should have known something was wrong when Veronica showed up to my boutique alone. No entourage, no reporter, not even Eleanor hovering anxiously in the background. Just my sister-in-law in a cream-colored pantsuit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. The magazine shoot's been postponed, she announced, breezing past me to examine a rack of sample dresses. Creative differences with the editor. But that's not important right now. My shoulders relaxed slightly. So, we can take our time with the consultation? Oh no, we still need to move quickly. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos. Jonathan's planning a big announcement at the Chicago Business Awards next month. We need everything perfect by then. Something in her tone made me pause. What kind of announcement? Just boring business stuff. She waved dismissively. Now, about my dress. I'm thinking something dramatic.
Statement making.
The kind of dress people will remember. Like your last 3 wedding dresses? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Veronica's perfectly lined eyes narrowed. Those were practice runs. This is the real deal. Jonathan's different. Different how? He's successful. Connected. The kind of man who can make things happen. She moved closer, lowering her voice. Did you know he's on the board of the Chicago Fashion Council? My hand froze on the silk sample I was holding. The Fashion Council controlled everything from industry events to small business grants in the city's fashion scene. I'd been trying to get their attention for years. Interesting timing, I said carefully. You getting engaged to someone so relevant to my business. Isn't it? Veronica smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Jonathan's very impressed by what you've built here. He might even be interested in investing. The pieces clicked into place. Is that what this is about? Using your wedding dress to get Jonathan's attention? Don't be dramatic, Dana. I'm offering you an opportunity. Your little boutique could become something real. My boutique is real, I said, heat rising in my cheeks. We're booked solid for months. We've won local awards. Local awards? She laughed. Oh, sweetie, don't you want more? Jonathan could make you the premier bridal designer in Chicago. All you have to do is make me look perfect on my big day. I stepped back, studying my sister-in-law's face. And if something goes wrong, like with your last designer? Nothing will go wrong, she said smoothly. Because you're family. And family doesn't disappoint each other, right? Before I could respond, my assistant Jenny burst in. Dana? There's someone here asking about Veronica's wedding. Says she's from the Tribune. Veronica's composure cracked for just a second. I should go. We'll discuss designs tomorrow. She was out the door before I could reply, leaving me with a growing sense of unease. I waited until Jenny left, then called Sarah. I need you to look up something about Jonathan Brooks, I said when she answered. Specifically, his connection to the Fashion Council. Already did, Sarah replied. After last night, I got curious. Dana, he's not on the board. He's never been involved with them at all. My stomach dropped. Are you sure? Positive. But here's what's interesting. His company's in trouble. There are rumors about bankruptcy, failed developments. Some people are saying he's looking for a way to save face. Or looking for someone to save him. I muttered, remembering Veronica's calculated smile. What are you going to do? I looked at the wedding dresses surrounding me, each one representing a bride's dreams and trust. I'm going to make her dress, I said finally. But I'm also going to find out what she's really planning. Be careful, Sarah warned. You know how Veronica gets when she's cornered. After hanging up, I noticed a magazine had fallen from Veronica's bag. It was open to an article about Jonathan Brooks, with a handwritten note in the margin. Perfect target, desperate enough to believe anything. My phone buzzed with a text from Veronica. By the way, Jonathan's invited some very important people to the wedding. Your future could depend on how this goes. No pressure. Face blowing a kiss. I stared at the message, my hands shaking slightly. She wasn't just trying to use me. She was threatening me. Well, two could play at that game. If Veronica wanted a memorable wedding dress, I'd give her one she'd never forget. 3 weeks into designing Veronica's wedding dress, I found myself working late again. Surrounded by crumpled sketches and fabric samples she'd rejected. My phone buzzed with another of her urgent texts. Changed my mind about the neckline. Thinking something more dramatic. Can we meet tomorrow? 7 a.m. I didn't reply. Instead, I gathered my things, ready to head home, when I heard voices from the boutique's front room. Through the partially open door, I spotted Jonathan Brooks talking to Jenny, who was staying late to handle paperwork. Mrs. Whitaker's gone for the day, Jenny was saying. Actually, I'm here to discuss something else. Jonathan's voice was smooth, practiced. We're looking to acquire some properties in this area. Your lease agreement, specifically. My heart stopped. I pressed closer to the door. The building owner's been difficult, Jonathan continued. But once the wedding's over, I'm sure we can convince him to sell. Of course, current tenants will need to relocate. But this location is perfect for us, Jenny protested. We have clients booked months in advance. Business is business. Though I'm sure we could arrange something, depending on how smoothly the wedding preparations go. I'd heard enough. I stepped into the room, making both of them jump. Jenny, could you give us a minute? Once she left, Jonathan's businessman's smile faltered slightly. Dana, I was just threatening my business to ensure good behavior. I kept my voice steady, though my hands were shaking. Does Veronica know about this? Veronica understands what's at stake. This wedding needs to be perfect. The right people are watching. The right people for what? He checked his watch. You should ask your sister-in-law about that. Just remember, your cooperation could make things much easier for everyone. After he left, I called Sarah, but it went to voicemail. Then I tried Ethan. I can't talk now, he said when he answered. I'm at dinner with Veronica and Mom. Without me. A pause. You said you were working late because your sister keeps changing her mind about everything. I took a breath. Ethan, Jonathan was just here. He's planning to force us out of the building after the wedding. That doesn't sound right. Mom says Jonathan's been nothing but generous. Of course she does, I snapped. Your mother thinks Veronica's incapable of doing anything wrong. Dana. No, I'm done. Either you help me figure out what they're really planning, or what? His voice hardened. You'll sabotage the wedding? Make things worse. The line went quiet except for background chatter. I recognized Veronica's laugh, followed by Eleanor's voice. Is that Dana? Tell her we missed her at dinner. Though Veronica's wedding planner had some wonderful ideas about the dress. I hung up before I could hear more. 10 minutes later, an email arrived from an anonymous account, financial records showing Jonathan's company was nearly bankrupt, along with a draft press release announcing his engagement to prominent Chicago socialite Veronica Hastings and their plans to merge their business interests. My phone buzzed again. Veronica. Hope you're making progress on the dress. By the way, Jonathan mentioned stopping by. Such a shame about your lease situation. But I'm sure we can work something out. If the dress is perfect, face-blowing a kiss. I looked around my boutique, at the dreams I'd built, the clients who trusted me, the employees who depended on me. Then I looked at the wedding dress mock-up on my mannequin, already bearing Veronica's demanding alterations. The silk would tear easily if the seams were sewn just slightly wrong. The beading could come loose at the worst moment if attached improperly. Small imperfections that wouldn't be noticeable until it was too late. But as I touched the fabric, I remembered my own wedding dress, how it had made me feel beautiful and strong. Even Veronica deserved that moment. Didn't she? My phone lit up one last time. Sarah. Found something about Jonathan and Veronica you need to see. It's worse than we thought. I stared at the message, then at the dress. I'd always believed in creating beauty, in making dreams come true. But sometimes I realized the kindest thing you can do is wake someone up from their dream before it becomes a nightmare. The question was, how far was I willing to go to make that happen? Sarah's discovery about Jonathan and Veronica turned out to be worse than any of us imagined. We met at her house, where she spread documents across her kitchen table, bank statements, court records, and newspaper clippings. 3 other women, Sarah said, pointing to the articles. All within the last 2 years. Jonathan proposes, announces business mergers, then somehow ends up with controlling interest in their companies before the wedding. Then he vanishes, leaving them bankrupt. My hands shook as I read. And Veronica knows about this? She's not a victim, Dana. She's his partner. Sarah pulled up an email chain. They've been planning this for months. The wedding, the dress, the press coverage, it's all about making Jonathan look legitimate to potential investors. I thought about my boutique, about Jonathan's threats. They're using my reputation to boost their credibility. Exactly. And once they're done, Sarah didn't need to finish. My phone buzzed. Veronica was at the boutique for her final fitting. I'd been dreading this moment, but now it felt like an opportunity. When I arrived, she was already wearing the dress, admiring herself in the mirror while Eleanor fussed with the train. It's stunning, Eleanor gushed. Dana, you've outdone yourself. Veronica turned, the silk rustling. It'll do, though the beading could be more elaborate. The society photographers will be looking for something spectacular. The same photographers who covered Jonathan's last 3 almost weddings? The words slipped out before I could stop them. The room went silent. Eleanor's hands froze on the dress. I don't know what you're talking about, Veronica said, but her reflection showed a flicker of panic. I think you do. I moved closer, adjusting the dress with practiced hands. It's a clever scheme. Use my reputation to make the wedding look legitimate, then destroy my business once you've got what you want. Dana, Eleanor gasped. How dare you accuse your sister-in-law? It's fine, Mother, Veronica interrupted, her voice steel-sharp. Dana's just upset because she can't handle a high-profile client. Maybe if she spent less time spreading rumors and more time working, her little shop wouldn't be in trouble. The only trouble my shop is in comes from your fiancé's threats.
Met haar eyes in the mirror.
Does Jonathan know you're planning to double-cross him too? Veronica's composure cracked. She spun around, grabbing my arm. If you ruin this for me, you'll what?
Destroy my business?
Tear apart our family? You're already doing that. Girls, please. Eleanor stepped between us. This is just wedding stress. We can work this out. My phone chimed, a text from Ethan. Mom says you're causing drama at the fitting. What's going on? Before I could respond, Veronica snatched my phone. Still running to my brother with everything? Pathetic. She scrolled through my messages, her face darkening. You've been investigating us? Getting Sarah to dig up lies. The truth, you mean? I reached for my phone, but she held it away. The truth is, you've always been jealous of me. Well, here's some truth for you. The dress is paid for with a bad check. Your lease is being terminated next month. And you're not even invited to the wedding. I just needed your name and your work. That's all you're good for. Eleanor gasped. Veronica, surely you don't mean. Stay out of this, Mother. Veronica snapped. Then she smiled, cold and sharp. By the way, Dana, I'm having another designer make some adjustments to the dress before the wedding. I can't risk looking anything less than perfect. Something inside me snapped. Years of swallowing Veronica's insults, of putting family peace above my own dignity, crystallized into a single, clarifying moment of rage. I stepped back, surveying my creation, the dress I'd poured weeks of work into, that she planned to butcher and take credit for. You want perfect? I'll give you perfect. What's that supposed to mean? I smiled, thinking of the alterations I could make, small, devastating changes that wouldn't show until the worst possible moment. You'll see. At the wedding. Veronica's eyes narrowed. Is that a threat? No, I said, gathering my things. It's a promise. And unlike yours, mine will be kept. As I left, Eleanor called after me, but I didn't turn back. I was done being the family doormat. If Veronica wanted to play games with people's lives, she was about to learn that karma could be tailored to fit. The wedding invitation arrived 3 days before the ceremony, not for me, but for Ethan and the kids. I found it on our kitchen counter, its gold lettering mocking me. The honor of your presence is requested. I told her I wouldn't go without you, Ethan said from behind me, making me jump. But Lily and Noah are still in the wedding party. Mom's expecting them there. I traced the embossed edge of the invitation. And what are you expecting, Ethan? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. I don't know what to believe anymore. Veronica swears you're making up stories about Jonathan, but Sarah showed me the evidence. Which you didn't believe until someone else confirmed it. That's not fair. I'm trying to. My phone rang, Jenny from the boutique. Dana? There are people here. They're saying they have a court order to inspect the premises. My stomach dropped. What? Something about code violations? They're taking pictures, measuring everything. Should I call our lawyer? I'll be right there. I grabbed my keys, but Ethan blocked the door. Dana, wait. Maybe if we all sit down together. While Jonathan's people try to shut down my business. Move, Ethan. But by the time I reached the boutique, the damage was done. Yellow violation notices plastered the windows. Inside, Brides-to-be were gathering their things, whispering among themselves as a man in a suit handed out business cards. "Lovely space," he said when he saw me. "Shame about the structural issues. And the health code violations. And the expired permits." "What permits?" He smiled, reminding me of Jonathan. "All of them, apparently. We'll need you to cease operations immediately. For public safety, you understand." Jenny appeared at my elbow, clutching a stack of papers. "They're saying we need to refund all outstanding orders. Today. That would bankrupt us." "Yes," the man said pleasantly. "It would." My phone buzzed, a text from Veronica. "Heard about the inspection. So tragic. But Jonathan knows some excellent real estate agents if you need to sell." I deleted it without responding, then noticed an email from Chicago Style magazine. They wanted to interview me about the rumors surrounding my business practices and relationship with the Brooks Hastings wedding. "Dana?" Jenny's voice was small. "What do we do?" I looked around my boutique, at the dreams I'd built, the lives I'd touched. Then I thought about Veronica in my dress, smirking as she destroyed everything I'd worked for. "Start calling our clients," I said finally. "Tell them."
The door chimed.
Eleanor swept in, looking worried.
Even Idska, Asiamksis.
"This is all a terrible misunderstanding. If you'd just apologize to Veronica." "Apologize?" I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "For what? Not letting her destroy my business quietly enough?" "She's family. Surely we can." "Family?" I gestured at the violation notices. "This is what your daughter does to family? She's running a scam with Jonathan, and you're helping her." Eleanor flinched. "You don't understand. Veronica needs this wedding. Jonathan's investors aren't real," I finished. "Just like his business empire isn't real. But you don't care about that, do you? As long as your precious daughter gets what she wants." "Dana." Ethan's voice. "He must have followed me. That's enough." "No, it's not enough." I turned to face him. "Your sister is about to destroy everything we've built, and you're still defending her." "I'm trying to protect our family." "Which part? The part that's lying or the part that's helping them do it?" The silence that followed was deafening. Eleanor dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Ethan stared at the floor. Outside, I could see potential clients walking past, reading the violations, hurrying away. My phone buzzed one final time. "Sarah. Just heard from Mark. Veronica's telling everyone you tried to sabotage the dress. The magazine's running with the story." "Dana, I'm so sorry." I looked at the wedding dress hanging in my workroom, beautiful and poisonous. I'd poured my heart into it, and Veronica had turned it into a weapon. Well, two could play that game. "Jenny," I said quietly, "cancel all appointments for the next 3 days. I have a wedding dress to finish." "Dana," Ethan warned, "whatever you're thinking." "You should go." I cut him off. "You'll be late for your sister's wedding preparations." As they left, I locked the door behind them, flipping the sign to closed. Then I walked to my workroom, picked up my scissors, and began to plan. The morning of Veronica's wedding dawned bright and clear. I arrived at the Drake Hotel early, dress bag in hand, and found Sarah waiting in the lobby. "You sure about this?" she whispered as we rode the elevator to the bridal suite. I patted the garment bag. "Just make sure you get those documents to Jonathan before the ceremony." The suite was chaos. Bridesmaids, makeup artists, and Eleanor fluttering around Veronica like anxious butterflies. She saw me in the mirror and smiled, all teeth. "Dana, I didn't expect you to deliver personally." "Wouldn't miss it." I unzipped the bag, revealing the dress in all its glory. The gasps were genuine. It was my finest work, even with the modifications I'd made last night. Veronica ran her hands over the silk. "It's perfect." "Try it on," I suggested. "Make sure everything fits." As she slipped into the dress, I caught Eleanor watching me suspiciously. But the alterations were invisible. The weakened seams, the strategically loosened beading, the hem shortened just enough to make walking treacherous. "Something feels different," Veronica frowned, adjusting the bodice. "Just pre-wedding jitters," Eleanor soothed. You look stunning. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Documents delivered. Jonathan's reading them now. I smiled. Well, my work here is done.
Good luck, Veronica.
You're not staying to help? Eleanor asked. I wasn't invited, remember? I was halfway to the door when Veronica called out, I know what you did. The room went silent. I turned slowly. What? The dress. She smiled, but her eyes were cold. Did you really think I wouldn't have it checked? Your little alterations were amateur hour. My stomach dropped as she reached for a garment bag hanging in the corner. Fortunately, I had a backup made. Exact copy, but without the sabotage. Eleanor gasped. Dana, you didn't. Oh, she did. Veronica laughed. And now I have proof. The magazine will love this story. Respected designer tries to ruin society, wedding out of jealousy. Jealousy. I stepped closer. You and Jonathan are running a scam. Sarah just delivered proof to your fiancé, bank records, court documents, everything. Jonathan already knows about those. We planned it together. She smirked. Did you really think he'd believe your little investigation?
The door burst open.
Jonathan stood there, face ashen, holding the papers Sarah had delivered. But it wasn't our evidence he was clutching. Care to explain this? He thrust the papers at Veronica. My lawyers just found them. You've been transferring money from my accounts for months. Veronica's composure cracked. Darling, I can explain. To the police? He turned to the bridesmaids. Show's over, ladies. Weddings canceled. No. Veronica lunged forward, but the altered dress betrayed her. The weakened seam split. The shortened hem caught her heel, and she stumbled. The backup dress went flying from her hands, landing in a punch bowl. You planned this, she snarled at me. You knew the dress would fail. I knew you would, I corrected. The dress was just insurance. The real trap was making you think you'd caught me. While you were focused on my amateur alterations, Sarah was following your money trail. Eleanor stepped between us. Girls, please. Stay out of it, mother. Veronica snapped. This is business. No, I said quietly. This is family. And you forgot the first rule of dressmaking. Always check the lining for hidden flaws. Jonathan was already calling his lawyers. The bridesmaids were fleeing. And Veronica stood in her sabotage dress, watching her carefully constructed world unravel at the seams. You've ruined everything, she whispered. You did that yourself. I just made sure everyone could see it. As I left, Eleanor called after me. Dana, wait. But I kept walking. In my purse was a copy of all the evidence, enough to save my boutique and expose Jonathan's schemes. The magazine would get their story, but not the one Veronica had planned. My phone buzzed one last time, Ethan. Just heard what happened. Coming home. We need to talk. I took a deep breath, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's dreams. It's about refusing to let them destroy yours. 6 months after the wedding that never was, I stood in my newly renovated boutique, pinning a wedding veil on a beaming bride. The magazine article had run, not Veronica's planned exposé, but a piece about small business resilience and fraud prevention. The publicity had brought in more clients than ever. The bell chimed, and Eleanor walked in, looking smaller somehow, more human. She waited quietly until I finished with my client. The place looks wonderful, she said, running her hand along a display of silk samples. The new lighting really shows off the dresses. The settlement money from Jonathan helped. I straightened a mannequin's collar, though I suspect that was more about keeping his other victims quiet than any real remorse. Dana, about that day. Eleanor paused. I should have seen what was happening. With Veronica, with everything. You saw what you wanted to see. We all did. She nodded, pulling an envelope from her purse. This came for you.
From Veronica.
My hands froze on the silk. Where is she? Treatment center in Arizona. For. Eleanor swallowed. For compulsive behavior and trauma. She asked me not to tell anyone, but you deserve to know. I took the envelope, feeling its weight. Inside was a check, repayment for the wedding dress, and a note. I'm learning to make things instead of breaking them. Maybe someday I'll understand why that was so hard before.
V.
The bell chimed again. Ethan walked in with Lily and Noah, carrying takeout bags. Our Wednesday family dinner tradition had survived, though now it often happened in my workroom between fittings. Mom, Noah ran over. Aunt Sarah's having a baby. Can you make her a special dress like you did for Mrs. Peterson? Speaking of Sarah, Eleanor said carefully, she and Mark are hosting Christmas this year. Veronica might. She's thinking of coming. The old tension rose in my chest, but it felt different now, less sharp, more complicated. We'll see. After Eleanor left, Ethan helped me close up while the kids did homework in the corner. You okay? He asked, watching me sort through fabric swatches. I'm not sure, I admitted. Part of me wants to believe she's changed. The rest remembers every other time we gave her another chance. Maybe it's not about chances anymore, he suggested. Maybe it's about boundaries. You taught us all something about those. I thought about Veronica's note, about Eleanor's visit, about the family we were slowly rebuilding. You know what the strangest part is? When I was planning my revenge, I thought it would feel better, more satisfying. But seeing her fall apart that day wasn't what you expected. It just made me sad. For her, for us, for all the years we spent dancing around the truth instead of facing it. The shop phone rang, another bride-to-be seeking an appointment. As I reached for it, I caught my reflection in the workroom mirror. I looked different than I had 6 months ago, stronger, clearer, more myself. Dana? Ethan touched my shoulder. Whatever you decide about Christmas, I'm with you. Really with you this time. I nodded, thinking about Veronica in Arizona, learning to create instead of destroy. About Eleanor, finally seeing her children clearly. About my own journey from victim to victor to something more complicated and true. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Ultrasound today. Need a bridesmaid dress designer for the baby shower. Know anyone good? Winking face. I smiled, picking up my sketchbook. There would always be more dresses to design, more stories to tell, more chances to get things right or wrong. The trick wasn't in being perfect. It was in being honest about who you were and what you stood for. Actually, I told Ethan, I think I might have an idea for Christmas. Something new. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply living well, setting boundaries, and leaving the door open just enough for hope to slip through. I opened my sketchbook and began to draw, thinking about new beginnings and old wounds, about family and forgiveness, and about the delicate art of mending what was broken without erasing the truth of how it broke.
The text message from Mum came on a Tuesday morning, right as I was helping Lucy tie her shoes for school. Need to talk, honey. Call when you can. My name is Amber, and that message was the beginning of the end. Or maybe it was the beginning of something else entirely. I just didn't know it yet. I called Mom back from the car after dropping the kids off, my coffee getting cold in the cup holder. Her voice had that sugary sweetness that always meant bad news was coming. Sweetheart, I've been crunching numbers for the annual lake trip, she started, and with everything being so expensive these days, well, we just can't swing it this year. Not with all the extras. My throat tightened. Extras? You know, honey, the additional rooms, extra meals. It adds up. The extras were my children. My 10-year-old son, Braden, and 7-year-old daughter, Lucy, had suddenly become line items on a budget spreadsheet. I can chip in more, I offered, hating how desperate I sounded. The business is doing better now. Oh no, we couldn't ask that of you, Mom cut in quickly. Besides, Edith already suggested we skip it altogether. Give everyone's wallet a break. Of course Edith suggested it. My perfect older sister, who never had to worry about money since marrying Bentley. Right, I managed. Thanks for letting me know. That evening, I had to tell the kids. Braden took it hardest. He'd been practicing casting with his new fishing rod for months. Lucy just asked if the fish would miss us, and somehow that hurt worse. Next year, I promised them both. We'll definitely go next year. 3 days later, I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook when I saw it. My hand started shaking so bad, I nearly dropped my phone. There was Edith, tagged in dozens of photos. All aboard! Family, first truck cruise life. The pictures showed everyone. Mom, Dad, Edith, Bentley, their kids, even our cousin Sarah, on the deck of a luxury cruise ship. I clicked through each photo like I was picking at a scab. There they were at the captain's dinner, dressed up and laughing. Another showed Dad teaching Edith's boys how to play shuffleboard, exactly like he used to teach me. My phone buzzed with a text from Sandra, my best friend. Are you seeing this? Call me. I couldn't call. I could barely breathe. More photos kept coming over the next week. Pool parties, exotic ports, sunset dinners, each one tagged with nauseating hashtags like Shush Blessed Family and Pape Making Memories. Finally, I got a voicemail from Mum. Having such a wonderful time, sweetie. The ship is gorgeous. Wish you could see it. Maybe next time when things aren't so tight, right? That night, after putting the kids to bed, I sat on my back porch with a glass of wine. The summer air was thick with humidity and the sound of crickets. I pulled up the last family photo I had from the lake, taken the previous summer. Everyone smiling, the water gleaming behind us. I was standing slightly apart, as usual, holding Lucy on my hip. My phone lit up with another cruise photo. This time it was Edith's latest post. Nothing better than quality time with the ones who matter most. Jasher family vacation. The ones who matter most. I walked inside and found Braden's fishing rod propped in the corner, still new and unused. Beside it was Lucy's lake journal, where she drew pictures of the fish she wanted to catch next time. The wine glass shook in my hand as 17 years of being the family afterthought crashed over me at once. The constant comparisons to Edith. The subtle digs about my divorce. The way they'd slowly pushed me to the edges of every family photo, every holiday, every memory. They hadn't cancelled the summer trip because of money. They'd cancelled me. I opened my laptop and pulled up the business plan for Navitrack, my fledgling tech startup. The investor meeting was in 2 days. Until now, I'd been nervous about it. Suddenly, I felt nothing but cold determination. My phone buzzed again. Another cruise photo. I turned it face down without looking. I promise, I whispered to my sleeping children down the hall. We will never be left behind again. I just didn't know then exactly how I'd keep that promise, or what it would cost us all. They're ready for you, Ms. Thomas. Willow's voice snapped me back to reality. I was standing in the gleaming lobby of Venture Capital Partners, gripping my presentation folder so hard my knuckles had turned white. How do I look? I whispered. Willow, my brilliant 28-year-old business partner, straightened my blazer. Like someone about to change the world. Or at least keep kids safer in it. The boardroom was intimidating, all glass and chrome and serious faces. I set up my prototype of Navitrack, our child safety wearable, on the table. My hands were steady now. They had to be. 3 years ago, I began. My son got lost at a crowded mall. For 17 minutes, I couldn't find him. Those were the longest 17 minutes of my life. The investors leaned forward slightly. I had their attention. That's when I realized existing GPS trackers for kids were bulky, obvious, and easy to remove. So I created this. I held up our sleek bracelet design. Waterproof, tamper-proof, and disguised as a fashion accessory kids actually want to wear. Questions flew. Market size, competition, manufacturing costs. I answered each one with the precision of someone who'd rehearsed in front of their bathroom mirror for months. Impressive, said the lead investor, examining our prototype. But why you? What makes you the one to bring this to market? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Edith. Mum's birthday dinner Saturday. Bentley's booking that new French place downtown. $200 per person. You in? I silenced my phone and looked straight at the investor. Because I'm a mother who understands what parents fear most. And I'm stubborn enough to solve problems others ignore. 2 hours later, Willow and I stood in the parking lot, still in shock. $5 million, she kept repeating. They're giving us $5 million. I hugged her, both of us laughing and crying. We did it! We actually did it! That night, I took the kids to their favourite pizza place to celebrate. While they argued over toppings, I checked my emails. There was one from Sandra marked FWD Urgent Lake Property Inquiry. I opened it and froze. It was an email chain accidentally forwarded to Sandra's law firm. Bentley copying Edith and my parents, discussing booking the entire Turner Pines resort for next summer. 8 weeks total, he wrote. Just our immediate family. More intimate that way. More intimate? Like the cruise. Another family vacation I wasn't meant to know about. Mom? Braden's voice pulled me back. Can we get extra cheese? I looked at my son's hopeful face, so much like his father's before the divorce turned bitter. Extra cheese, I agreed, and ice cream after. Later that night, I called Sandra. I was going to delete it, she said, but you needed to know. They're doing it again, I said, my voice flat, planning another family trip without us. After today's investment news? They'll regret that. Sandra paused. Speaking of which, have you told them? I thought about all the times Edith had flaunted her family's success. How Mom and Dad beamed at every achievement of hers while treating mine like pleasant surprises. No, I said, and I'm not going to. Not yet. What are you thinking? I walked to my home office and pulled up the Turner Pines website. The rustic cabins nestled against the lake shore, the dock where Dad taught us to fish, the fire pit where we used to make s'mores. Remember when we were kids, I said, and Edith would hide my toys, then pretend she had no idea where they were. Yeah? Well, I think it's time I learned to play that game too. I clicked on the Contact Us tab. Sandra, I need a favour. A big one. How much do you know about real estate acquisitions? Amber. Her tone was cautionary. What exactly are you planning? I thought about the cruise photos, the cancelled lake trip, years of being the family afterthought. Justice, I said simply, or maybe revenge. Is there really a difference? The website showed rental rates for the entire resort. The number was significant, but after today's investment, it might as well have been pocket change. Send me whatever paperwork I need to see, I told Sandra. And, Sandra, let's keep this between us for now. I hung up and opened my laptop to start researching property laws. Outside my window, the moon reflected off my neighbour's pool, reminding me of the lake's shimmer at night. Soon, I thought. Very soon. The gravel crunched under my tyres as I pulled into Turner Pines for the first time in months. The morning fog was just lifting off the lake, and the air smelled like pine needles and possibility. Freddie, the property manager, waited for me on the main office porch. He was exactly as Sandra had described. Weathered face, kind eyes, and a ring of keys that probably hadn't changed in 20 years. Ms. Thomas? He extended his hand. Freddie Valdez, thanks for making the drive out. Please, call me Amber. I followed him inside where a pot of coffee was brewing. I appreciate you meeting me on such short notice. Well, when a potential buyer wants to see the place. He poured us both coffee in ceramic mugs with faded lake designs. Though I admit I'm curious. We don't usually get interest in the whole property. I sipped my coffee, buying time. I heard there might be some long-term booking plans for next summer. Freddie nodded. Yeah, actually. Got a real estate agent, Bentley Little, trying to lock down 8 weeks for his family. Offering above rate too. Has he signed anything yet? Nah, just preliminary talks. Why? I pulled out the folder Sandra had prepared. Because I'd like to make an offer, not for a booking, for the entire resort. Freddie's eyebrows shot up. The whole thing? Every cabin, every dock, every pine needle. I slid the paperwork across his desk. And I can close within 30 days. He whistled low, studying the numbers. This is substantial. Mind if I ask why? Through the office window, I could see the lake sparkling. Memories flooded back, teaching Lucy to swim off the shallow dock. Braden's first caught fish, countless marshmallow sticky evenings around the fire pit. Let's just say I have history here, I replied. Good history I'd like to preserve. Freddie nodded slowly. The owners have been considering selling. Place needs updates they can't afford. He hesitated. But what about the existing bookings? Bentley's family. No contracts signed means no obligations. I met his eyes. And I'd like to keep you on as manager, Freddie, with a raise. He studied me for a long moment. There's more to this story, isn't there? There always is. I stood up. Show me around? We spent the next hour touring the property. The main lodge needed a new roof, and several cabins required modernising. But the bones were good, strong, like me. Previous owners will want to move fast, Freddie said as we walked the main dock, before peak season planning starts. That works for me. I pulled out my phone and texted Sandra, "Make it happen." Just then, my phone lit up with a FaceTime call from Edith. I almost declined it, but curiosity won out. Amber! Her perfect smile filled the screen. I've missed you so much. Where are you? That looks like... Are you at a lake? Just checking out some property. I kept my voice neutral. What's up? Oh, I've been thinking about you. We all have. You should come visit next summer. We're planning this amazing family trip. Sorry, bad reception, I cut in, watching her face freeze in mock concern. I'll call you back. I ended the call and turned to Freddie, who was pretending not to listen. How soon can we start the paperwork? I'll call the owners now. He paused. You sure about this? I looked out over the lake, remembering all the times I'd watched Edith get the better cabin, the newer kayak, the most attention. Now I'd have them all. Absolutely sure. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of contracts, inspections, and bank transfers. Sandra earned every penny of her legal fees, creating an LLC to hide my name from public records until the sale was final. Finally, on a crisp fall morning, I met Freddie outside the main lodge one last time. Congratulations, he said, handing me the master keys. She's all yours. Thanks, Freddie. I weighed the keys in my hand. Any word from Bentley about the summer booking? Left 3 messages yesterday. Should I call him back? No need. I smiled, remembering Edith's fake sweet FaceTime call. Let him keep trying. My phone buzzed. A text from Sandra. Final, papers filed. You're officially the owner. Still want to go through with the rest of the plan? I thought about my kids' faces when I'd had to tell them the lake trip was cancelled, about the cruise photos, about years of being the family afterthought. Yes, I texted back. Send the letters. Freddie was watching me curiously. Ms. Thomas, Amber, whatever happens next, I'm guessing I should brace for some drama. I pocketed the keys and looked out at my lake, my cabins, my revenge. Freddie, I said, you have no idea. The no trespassing orders are ready, Sandra said, spreading documents across my dining room table. 1 for Edith and Bentley, 1 for your parents, 1 for each of their kids over 18. I traced my finger over the legal language. Will they hold up? They're ironclad. As property owner, you have every right to deny access. She hesitated. But, Amber, once we serve these, there's no going back. Through the sliding glass doors, I could see Braden and Lucy playing in the backyard. They were drawing pictures of fish, planning for next summer. They just didn't know it yet. Did you see Edith's latest Instagram post? I pulled up my phone. Can't wait for our magical summer at the lake. Just blessed family, just your traditions continue. Sandra grimaced. She's really making this easy, isn't she? She always does. I signed the papers one by one. When will they be served? Tomorrow night. They're all having dinner at that new French place downtown. My process server will catch them right as they're leaving. My phone buzzed. A text from Willow. Big Tech magazine wants to interview you about NaviTrack. They're calling you a rising star in child safety innovation. I showed Sandra the message. Perfect timing. You're not going to tell them about the business success either? Not yet. I gathered the signed papers. Let them think I'm still struggling. It'll make this better. Later that evening, I drove out to the lake alone. Freddie had left the gate code under my name now. Owner access. The word still felt strange. I walked down to the main dock, remembering all the times I'd sat here as a kid, watching Edith get Dad's attention, Mum's praise, the best of everything. The water lapped quietly against the wooden posts. My phone lit up. Mum calling. I let it go to voicemail. Honey, it's Mum. We missed you at my birthday dinner last week. Edith said she tried to reach you about it. Anyway, she's planning this wonderful summer trip for next year. I really hope you can make it work with your budget this time. We hate leaving you out. I deleted the message and dialed Freddie instead. Everything okay? He answered. Has Bentley called again about the booking? 3 more times today. Getting pretty aggressive about it. I smiled in the darkness. Good. Keep dodging him. Will do, boss. He paused. By the way, that contractor came by to quote the cabin renovations. Want me to send you the estimate? Yes. I want everything updated by spring. I looked across the lake to where the most luxurious cabin sat, the one Edith always claimed. Especially cabin 7. After hanging up, I walked the property in the growing darkness. The fire pit where Dad taught Edith to make the perfect s'more while I watched from the sidelines. The shallow beach where Mum helped Edith's kids learn to swim, years after refusing to teach me. Sandra was waiting in my driveway when I got home. Last chance to back out, she said, holding up the legal documents. We can tear these up right now. I thought about the cruise photos, the cancelled trip, the years of subtle exclusion masked as concern about my situation. Send them, she nodded slowly. I'll have my guy text us when it's done tomorrow night. Want company while we wait? No, I hugged her quickly. I need to do this part alone. The next evening, I sat on my back porch with a glass of wine, watching the sunset and waiting. At 8:47, my phone buzzed with a text from Sandra's process server. Documents served to all parties. Complete success. I closed my eyes, imagining the scene. My family, walking out of their expensive dinner, being handed legal papers. Edith's perfect mask cracking. Mum's confusion. Dad's silence. Bentley's impotent anger. My phone started buzzing immediately. Calls from Mum, Dad, Edith, text messages piling up. What is this? Call us right now. Have you lost your mind? Answer your phone. I silenced them all and walked inside to check on my sleeping children. Lucy had left her lake journal open on her bed. New drawings of the fish she hoped to catch, the cabin she wanted to stay in. Soon, baby, I whispered, tucking her in. Very soon. Back on the porch, I pulled up the security camera feed Freddie had installed. The lake was silent, dark except for starlight on the water. My lake, my revenge. My phone lit up one last time. A text from Sandra. You okay? I watched a shooting star streak across the lake view on my screen. Never better, I replied, and for the first time in years, it wasn't a lie. Mum and Dad are coming over for dinner tonight, I told the kids at breakfast. I made peace offerings. Really? Braden looked up from his cereal. Grandma and Grandpa haven't visited in forever. I know, honey. I checked my phone. 17 missed calls since last night. That's why I invited them. I spent the afternoon cooking Dad's favourite pot roast and Mum's preferred apple pie. At 6:55 p.m, my phone rang. Mum's number. Amber, sweetheart. Her voice was strained. Something's come up. We can't make it tonight. I gripped the counter. Too busy? Your father isn't feeling well, and with everything that happened yesterday, maybe we should all take some time to cool off. Of course. I kept my voice steady. Feel better, Dad. I hung up and looked at the perfectly set table, at my children's expectant faces. They're not coming, are they? Braden asked quietly. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a notification. Freddie had sent me security camera footage from the lake. I clicked play. There they were. Mum, Dad, Edith, and Bentley, having what looked like a heated discussion on the main dock. Trespassing, despite the legal orders. Edith was gesturing wildly, Bentley pacing. I forwarded the video to Sandra with the message, "Options?" Her reply was instant. Police or private security? I watched my family arguing on my property, planning God knows what. Neither, I typed back. Not yet. Let them dig their hole deeper. My phone kept lighting up with messages. Edith had moved from texts to email. How dare you do this to our family, after everything we've done for you? You ungrateful, spiteful little girl. You think you can just buy our memories? Our traditions? You're pathetic. I screenshotted the email and saved it to a folder labelled evidence. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find a courier holding an envelope. Delivery from Mr. and Mrs. Little, he said. Inside was a formal letter from Bentley's law firm, threatening legal action for emotional distress and interference with family relations. I was still reading when Lucy tugged my sleeve. Mum, since Grandma and Grandpa aren't coming, can we have pizza instead? I looked at my daughter's innocent face, then at the legal threats in my hand. You know what? Yes, and ice cream. And we're eating in front of the TV. Later that night, after the kids were asleep, I got an anonymous letter in my email. The writing style was unmistakably Dad's. You've broken this family. Your mother can't stop crying. Is this what you wanted? To hurt us all? You're not the daughter we raised. I poured a glass of wine and typed back. You're right. I'm not the daughter you raised. I'm the one you ignored. Then I deleted it without sending. Instead, I called Willow. The magazine interview is tomorrow, she said. What's our angle? Success through adversity, I replied. Single mum overcomes obstacles to protect children everywhere. And Willow, make sure to mention our company valuation. You're finally going public with the investment news? Time to show all my cards, I paused. Well, almost all of them. My phone buzzed. Another security alert from Freddie. This time showing Bentley examining the cabin locks, testing windows. Getting interesting over here, Freddie texted. Want me to confront them? No, I replied. Just keep recording. I walked to Braden's room and found him awake, looking at old lake photos on his phone. Hey, buddy, I sat on his bed. Want to hear a secret? He nodded. We're going to the lake this summer, all of us. His eyes lit up. Really? But I thought... Things have changed. I smoothed his hair. I promise you'll never miss another summer there. Does Aunt Edith know? Not yet. I kissed his forehead. But she will. Back in my room, I opened my laptop to find an email from Mum. Subject line. Please, read. Whatever we did to hurt you, we're sorry. But this revenge, it's beneath you, Amber. You're breaking your father's heart. Call us, please. I closed the laptop without replying and walked to my window. The night was clear. Stars bright, like they always were at the lake. My phone buzzed one last time. Sandra, you okay? This is getting intense. I thought about the dinner no one came to. The legal threats, the guilt trips, the trespassing. They think I'm breaking the family. I typed back. But you can't break what was already broken. You can only rebuild it on your terms. And these are your terms? I watched another shooting star streak across the sky. No, I replied. These are just the opening moves. Your sister just went nuclear, Sandra said, sending me a link. Check Facebook. Edith's post was already going viral in our local community. My own sister bought an entire lake resort out of spite, just to keep our family from making memories there. Some people let divorce and bitterness poison their souls. Pray for her. Because toxic family such as pray for healing. I was still reading the comments when Willow called. Have you seen the magazine article? It's trending! I switched tabs to the tech magazine's website. There it was, my face on the digital cover. NaviTrack CEO revolutionizes child safety. How one mother's fear became a $50 million innovation. Perfect timing, I said, watching the article spread across LinkedIn. How's the stock price? Up 40% since opening. Willow paused. Your family's going to see this. That's the point. I posted the article to my own LinkedIn with a simple message. Success isn't about who believes in you. It's about believing in yourself. Proud to protect children everywhere. Der women in tech of perseverance. Within hours, my inbox was flooded. Old classmates, distant relatives, even my ex-husband, all suddenly remembering my existence. Then came the text from Dad. Just saw the news. Why didn't you tell us? We're your parents. I was composing a response when Braden walked in. Mum, can I ask you something? Always. Are we ever going back to the lake? I closed my laptop. Actually, I was thinking, how about this weekend? His eyes widened. Really? Really? Go tell your sister to pack. I texted Freddie. Coming up Friday with the kids and some friends. Then I called Sandra. Time for phase 2. Gather the troops. By Friday afternoon, the lake was alive with laughter. I'd invited everyone who'd supported me through the hard years. Sandra, Willow, my divorce support group, single mums from Lucy's school. Kids splashed in the water while adults grilled on the deck. This place is amazing, Willow said, watching Lucy learn to paddleboard from one of the mums. You should run summer programs here for single-parent families. Already working on it. I handed her a business plan. Starting next season, Sandra joined us, phone in hand. Heads up, Edith's post is getting attention. Local news wants to interview her about the family dispute. Let her talk. I watched Braden teaching his friend to fish. Truth has a way of coming out. Speaking of truth, Sandra nodded toward the gate. We've got company. A familiar car was pulling up the drive. Mum's silver SUV. Want me to call security? Freddie asked, appearing at my side. No. I stood up. I'll handle this. Mom got out looking smaller than I remembered, clutching her purse like a shield. Amber, her voice cracked. I saw the article, the business. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have changed anything? I kept my voice level. Would you have cancelled the cruise? Included us in the lake plans? We never meant to hurt you. Really? I gestured to the happy scene around us. Because this is what family looks like, Mum. These people showed up when you didn't. They celebrated my successes while you were busy celebrating Edith's. We were wrong, she whispered, but this revenge, buying the lake, it's not you. No, it's Edith. It's what she would do. I met her eyes. I learned from the best. Grandma. Lucy's voice cut through the tension as she ran up, dripping wet. Want to see me paddleboard? Mum's eyes filled with tears. I should go. Yes, you should. I picked up Lucy. Because you're trespassing. And unlike you, I actually mean it when I say family only. I turned away, carrying Lucy back to the water where her new friends waited. Amber, please, Mum called after me. Don't do this. Already done. I didn't look back. Tell Edith she can do all the interviews she wants. I've got nothing to hide anymore. That evening, after everyone left and the kids were asleep in their cabin, I sat on the main dock watching the sunset. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Bentley. This isn't over. You're not the only one with resources. I smiled and typed back. Actually, it is over. You just don't know it yet. Sandra joined me on the dock with 2 glasses of wine. Your mum's visit will add fuel to Edith's fire, she warned. Good. I took a sip. Let it burn. You know what happens next, right? I watched the last light fade from the lake, my lake, and thought about the next phase of the plan. Yeah, I said. The real fun begins. The local news van pulled up to Turner Pines just as I finished my morning coffee. Edith had finally gotten her interview, and she'd chosen to do it right at the lake's entrance. Perfect. They're here, Freddie texted. Want me to run them off? No, I replied. Let them set up, but keep recording. I watched from my office window as Edith positioned herself perfectly, the lake gleaming behind her. Mum and Dad stood off to the side, trying to look appropriately concerned for the cameras. My phone rang. Sandra. You watching this circus? Front row seat. Want me to send the cease and desist? Not yet. Let's see what she does first. The reporter was setting up when I walked outside, making my way casually to the dock. Right on cue, Edith spotted me. There she is! She pointed dramatically, her voice carrying across the water. The sister who stole our family's happiness. The camera swung toward me. I kept walking. Amber, the reporter hurried over. Care to comment on your sister's allegations? I turned, smiling my best CEO smile. Which allegations? The ones about me being bitter and toxic? Or the ones about me stealing happiness? You know exactly what you did. Edith stormed over, Mum trailing behind her. You bought this place just to hurt us. Actually, I pulled out my phone. I bought it as an investment, part of Navitrack's community outreach program. We're converting it into a summer camp for children of single parents. The reporter's eyes lit up. The child safety company that just hit the NASDAQ? The same. I met Edith's gaze. We're starting renovations next week. In fact, I should thank my family. If they hadn't excluded me from their plans, I might never have seen the property's potential. That's a lie! Edith's perfect mask was cracking. You did this for revenge! Honey, Mum reached for her arm. Maybe we should... No! Edith jerked away. She's trying to rewrite history. We never excluded her. She couldn't afford... The cruise, I finished quietly. Funny how that worked out while you were all claiming financial hardship. The reporter was scribbling frantically. Or maybe, I continued, you meant the summer booking Bentley tried to make. The one where he specifically requested that no other families be allowed on the property during your stay. Dad stepped forward finally. Amber, please. This isn't how our family handles things. No, our family handles things by pretending they're not happening, by letting Edith make all the decisions, by treating me like an inconvenience since the day I was born. That's not true. Mum's voice broke. Really? I pulled up photos on my phone. Should we go through these? The cruise pictures, the family-only dinners I wasn't invited to, the... Enough! Edith lunged forward, trying to grab my phone. The camera caught everything. Mrs. Little, the reporter called out, are you attempting to assault your sister on her private property? Edith froze, realizing what she'd done. Her perfect image shattered on camera. This interview is over, Bentley appeared, trying to salvage the situation. We'll be pursuing legal action. No, I cut in. You won't, because if you do, I'll countersue for harassment, trespassing, and attempted assault, all of which I have on video. I gestured to Freddie's security cameras. And, unlike you, I can afford a very long, legal battle. The silence was deafening. Now, I continued, you're all trespassing. Again. So either leave voluntarily, or I'll have you escorted out. Your choice. You've destroyed this family, Edith spat. No, Edith, you did that. I'm just done pretending it never happened. I turned to the reporter. If you'd like a real story, I'd be happy to show you our plans for the summer camp. We're partnering with several domestic violence shelters to provide safe vacations for families in transition. As security led my family away, Mum looked back one last time. Was it worth it? She asked softly. Hurting us like this? I watched them go. The people who had shaped my whole life with their subtle cruelties and casual exclusions. Yes, I said, but they were already too far away to hear. Later that night, alone on the dock, I finally let the tears come. Not for them, but for the little girl who had spent years believing she deserved less, who had watched from the sidelines as Edith got everything. My phone lit up, Sandra checking in. You okay? I wiped my eyes and looked out over my lake, where tomorrow my kids would swim and laugh and make new memories. No, I typed back honestly, but I will be. And for the first time in my life, that felt like enough. Mom! Mom! I caught one. Braden's voice echoed across the lake as he held up his fishing rod, a small bass thrashing at the end of the line. I rushed to help him reel it in, showing him how to hold the fish for a quick photo before releasing it back into the water. His grin was brighter than the summer sun overhead. Just like you taught me, he said proudly. Just like I taught you, I agreed, remembering all the times I'd watched Dad teach Edith's kids instead of mine. Lucy came running down the dock, waving a letter. Mail came! I recognised Mum's handwriting immediately. This was the third letter she'd sent since the news interview went viral. I'd burned the first two without reading them. Want me to get rid of it? Sandra asked, appearing beside me with coffee. No. I tucked it into my pocket. Not this time. The lake was alive with activity. Our first group of single-parent families had arrived yesterday. 5 mums with their kids, all getting a fresh start. Willow was teaching some of the children to kayak, while Freddie gave a fishing lesson to others. The reporter called again, Sandra said. The story about our summer program is getting national attention. Ellen wants you on her show. Let's do it. I watched a mother teaching her daughter to swim, remembering how I'd had to learn on my own. The more publicity, the better. Edith's gone quiet, Sandra added. No more social media posts, no more legal threats. She's licking her wounds, she'll be back. And when she is? I smiled. We'll be ready. That evening, after getting the kids settled in their cabin, I finally opened Mum's letter. Inside was a single photograph, me at age 7, sitting alone on this very dock, fishing rod in hand. Her note was simple. I found this while cleaning. I don't remember who took it, but I remember that day. You caught your first fish, and no one was there to see it. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry for a lot of things. Deep thoughts? Willow joined me on the dock, handing me a glass of wine. Just ghosts, I replied, tucking the photo away. The renovation plans are finalised, she said. Construction starts next week. You sure about converting Cabin 7? Cabin 7, Edith's favourite, the one she'd always claimed first. Absolutely. It'll make a perfect community centre for the families. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Saw the news about the summer programme. You've built something good here. Wish we'd seen your strength sooner. I didn't reply, but I didn't delete it either. Lucy appeared in her pyjamas, clutching her lake journal. Can we make s'mores? Soon we were all gathered around the fire pit. My kids, Sandra, Willow, Freddie, and our guest families. The night air was thick with the smell of chocolate and wood smoke. "Tell us a story," one of the children asked. I looked around the circle of faces lit by firelight. At my son, confident and kind. At my daughter, drawing new memories in her journal. At these families finding their way back to joy. "Once," I began, "there was a little girl who thought she didn't deserve nice things. Later, after everyone had gone to bed, Sandra found me still at the fire pit. 'You never answered my question,' she said. 'Was it worth it?' I thought about Edith's public meltdown, Mum's letters, Dad's text, the families now sleeping peacefully in cabins that once felt like forbidden territory. 'Look around,' I said. 'We took something broken and made it into something beautiful. That's better than revenge.' 'But you still got the revenge,' Sandra grinned. 'That too.' A shooting star streaked across the sky, and I remembered all the wishes I'd made on this lake as a child. Wishes to be included, to be enough, to be seen. 'Mom,' Braden called from his cabin, 'can you tuck me in again?' 'Coming, honey.' I stood, brushing sand from my jeans. 'You know what the best revenge is, Sandra?' 'What's that?' 'Living well, and making sure no other child feels as alone as I did.' I headed toward my son's voice, leaving the ghosts of my past where they belonged. Behind me, in the dark, while I walked toward the light of something better. Not an ending, but a beginning. And this time, I was writing the story.
I always knew my sister would try to destroy my dreams. I just didn't expect her to be so obvious about it. Maybe it's a sign? Bridget's smirk made my blood run cold as I tore through my bedroom for the third time. My passport had to be here somewhere. I'd placed it in my travel folder just yesterday, triple-checked it before bed. Now, less than 48 hours before my flight to Rome, it had vanished. I'm Olive, and I've spent 19 years being the family disappointment. Not because I've done anything wrong, quite the opposite. I study too hard, dream too big, and worst of all, I refuse to accept that my younger sister is the sun our family orbits around. "Mom!" I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. "Have you seen my passport?" "Honey, you probably misplaced it." Mom's voice drifted up from downstairs, dripping with that familiar condescension. "You know how scattered you get when you're stressed." I caught Bridget's reflection in my mirror as she leaned against my doorframe, twirling a strand of her perfect blonde hair. "You know, Olive, maybe this is God's way of telling you to stay home. You're not exactly international material." The scholarship letter on my desk begged to differ. Full ride, prestigious global policy program, selected from thousands of applicants. I'd kept it secret until the last possible moment, knowing what would happen when I told them. "I got into the program fair and square," I said, my hands shaking as I checked my drawer again. "Why can't you just be happy for me?" "Oh, I'm always happy for you," Bridget cooed, stepping into my room uninvited. "I just worry. Remember your science fair project? How it mysteriously caught fire the night before? Or your prom dress that somehow got bleach on it? You're just so unlucky." My jaw clenched. Those weren't accidents, and we both knew it. Just like my missing passport wasn't an accident. "Olive!" Dad's voice boomed from downstairs. "Family meeting. Now." I followed Bridget down to our pristine living room, where Mom and Dad sat like judges ready to deliver a verdict. Mom's cross necklace caught the light as she patted the space beside her. "Sweetheart, we need to talk about this scholarship situation." "There's nothing to talk about," I said, remaining standing. "I earned this. I'm going." "Without a passport?" Dad raised an eyebrow. "Be realistic, honey. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. You're not ready for something like this." "I'm more than ready." "She's just jealous," Bridget cut in, her voice trembling with fake tears. "Ever since I got asked to be youth pastor, she's been trying to one-up me. Now she's making up stories about missing passports to get attention. I'm not making anything up. But even as I said it, I watched Mom pull Bridget into a hug, shooting me that look, the one that said I was being difficult again, causing problems, hurting my sister. Olive, Mom sighed, sometimes God closes doors for a reason. Remember what Pastor Mike said about contentment? I felt something snap inside me. Not violently, more like a quiet click, a lock turning. You're right, I said, surprising them all. Maybe I should pray about it. That's my girl, Dad smiled, relieved I was finally being reasonable. I think I need some time alone, I added, heading for the stairs. To process everything. Of course, sweetie, Mom called after me. I'll bring you some tea later. Back in my room, I closed the door and pulled out my phone. My hands weren't shaking anymore as I typed a message to Jamal. Plan Alpha is a go. His response came instantly. Backup passport ready. You sure about this? I glanced at my window, where I could see Bridget in her room across the yard, already on FaceTime with her friends, probably spreading the news of my latest failure. She caught my eye and blew me a kiss. I thought about all the years of sabotage, the constant gaslighting, the way they'd tried to clip my wings while praising Bridget for every minor achievement. They thought they had me figured out, the quiet, compliant eldest daughter who would eventually accept her place in their shadow. They had no idea what was coming. Absolutely sure, I texted back. See you at 5 a.m. I heard Mom's footsteps on the stairs, probably bringing that tea she promised. Time to play my part, one last time. After tomorrow, they'd learn that some doors aren't meant to be closed, and that underestimating me was their biggest mistake. I wiped my face, ready to look appropriately devastated when Mom knocked. Let them think they've won. In less than 48 hours, they'd realize just how wrong they were about everything, especially about me. Mom's tea sat untouched on my nightstand, growing cold while I pretended to sob into my pillow. Through my bedroom wall, I could hear Bridget's theatrical phone conversation. I just feel so bad for her, she was saying. She's always been, fragile. I checked my phone. 9:47 p.m. Time to set the next phase in motion. I walked downstairs, making sure to drag my feet just enough to sound dejected. Mom? Dad? Can we talk? They were in their usual spots. Dad in his recliner, Mom on the couch with her devotional book. They exchanged that look they always shared when dealing with my episodes. Of course, sweetheart. Mom patted the couch. We've been worried about you. I sat down, clutching my phone like a lifeline. I need to know if you've seen my passport. The one I lost a few months ago? Dad's head snapped up. Months ago? What do you mean, months ago? Oh, I said, letting my voice waver. I guess I never mentioned it. I lost it back in March, right after I got the scholarship news. I was so embarrassed. Mom's face tightened. March? But you just got the scholarship letter last week. Actually, I pulled up my email. I got it in February. I just didn't know how to tell you. You've been lying to us? Dad stood up, his face reddening. For months? Like how you're lying about taking my passport? I shot back. Bridget appeared in the doorway, right on cue. How dare you accuse us? Mom, Dad, she's just trying to blame everyone else for her mistakes. Again. I'm not stupid, I said, standing up. You've been sabotaging me for years. The science fair project? I saw you in the garage with matches the night before. My prom dress? You were doing laundry right before it got accidentally bleached. You're being ridiculous. Bridget's eyes filled with tears. Mom, make her stop. Olive, Mom's voice turned sharp. Apologizing to your sister right now? No. The word came out calm, certain. I'm done apologizing for existing. That's enough. Dad slammed his hand on the coffee table. Go to your room until you can show some respect. I turned to leave, then paused. You know what's funny? When I lost my passport in March, I went to get a replacement right away. The office said it would take 6 to 8 weeks to process. The silence in the room was deafening. That was 5 months ago, I continued. Plenty of time for a new one to arrive, don't you think? Mom's face went pale. Bridget stopped fake crying. "You're bluffing," she whispered. I pulled out my phone again, this time opening my photos. Here's me at the passport office. Date stamp, March 15th. And here's the receipt. And look, here's the tracking number showing it was delivered in May. "If you have another passport," Dad said slowly, "where is it?" I smiled. "Somewhere safe, where none of you can get to it." "You ungrateful little—" Bridget lunged forward, but Mom caught her arm. "Olive," Mom's voice trembled with forced calm, "if you're planning something foolish—" "Like what? Following my dreams? Achieving something on my own? Or did you mean foolish like stealing your sister's passport and lying about it?" "I never—" Bridget started. "Save it," I cut her off. "I don't need the passport you took. I don't need your approval. And I definitely don't need your prayers." I headed for the stairs, but Mom called after me. "We only want what's best for you." I turned back one last time. "No, you want what's easiest for you. There's a difference." Back in my room, I locked the door and pulled out my laptop. A message from Jamal popped up. "Everything's set for tomorrow. You okay?" I thought about the years of gaslighting, of being told I was overreacting, imagining things, being difficult. I thought about Bridget's innocent act, Mom's religious manipulation, Dad's dismissive sighs. "Better than okay," I replied. They finally showed their true colors. My phone buzzed with texts from Bridget. "You're making a huge mistake. Mom and Dad are really upset. Why do you always have to ruin everything? Please don't do this to our family." I blocked her number. Through the wall, I could hear her having another meltdown, Mom and Dad rushing to console her. The golden child's crown was slipping, and she knew it. I checked my hidden backpack one last time. Backup passport, scholarship documents, plane ticket. In less than 8 hours, I'd be on my way to the airport with Jamal. Let them think they'd won tonight. Let them believe their perfect family facade was still intact. Tomorrow would change everything. I set my alarm and lay down, not even trying to sleep. The time for being the quiet, understanding sister was over. Tomorrow, they'd learn what happens when you push someone too far. And I couldn't wait. The house was silent at 4:45 a.m. when I slipped out of bed, already fully dressed. I'd barely slept, but adrenaline kept me sharp as I retrieved my hidden backpack from the crawl space behind my closet. My phone vibrated. "Jamal. Outside in 5. You ready?" I took one last look around my room. 18 years of memories, most of them painful. The cross Mom hung over my bed for protection. The family photos where Bridget always stood front and center. The desk where I'd studied late into the night, dreaming of escape. On my pillow, I left a note. "Some doors are meant to stay closed. Don't try to find me." The third stair from the bottom always creaked, so I stepped over it. In the kitchen, I could smell coffee. Dad must have set the automatic timer for his morning devotional. The pot burbled quietly, like it was keeping my secret. A floorboard creaked upstairs. I froze. Another creak, followed by footsteps. Someone was awake. I ducked behind the kitchen island just as Bridget appeared at the top of the stairs. She was heading to the bathroom, her eyes half closed with sleep. I held my breath until I heard the bathroom door click shut. My phone buzzed again. "Here." I crept to the front door, turning the handle millimeter by millimeter. The hinges had other plans. They groaned like they were announcing my departure to the whole house. The bathroom door opened. "Olive?" Bridget's voice was sharp with suspicion. I didn't answer. Instead, I yanked the door open and bolted. "Mom! Dad!" Bridget screamed. "She's leaving!" Jamal's car idled at the curb, headlights off. I sprinted across the lawn as lights flicked on upstairs. "Olive Grace James! Don't you dare!" Dad's voice boomed from their bedroom window. I threw myself into Jamal's car. "Go, go, go!" He floored it just as my parents burst through the front door in their pajamas. In the rearview mirror, I watched Dad run halfway down the driveway before stopping, realizing he was barefoot. "Holy shit," Jamal laughed, taking the corner too fast. "That was intense." "Keep driving," I said, my heart pounding. "They might follow us. Already planned for that." He took 3 random turns, then pulled into a 24-hour grocery store parking lot. "We'll switch to my sister's car. They don't know that one." As we transferred my bags, my phone exploded with notifications. Mom. "Come home right now, young lady." Dad. "You're making a terrible mistake." Bridget. "I can't believe you'd hurt our family like this." Mom. "We're calling the police." Dad. "Your mother is crying." Bridget. "Everyone will know what you did to us." I turned off my phone. "You okay?" Jamal asked as we pulled onto the highway in his sister's Honda. "Better than okay," I said, watching the sunrise paint the sky pink. "I'm free." We made it to the airport by 6 a.m. Jamal insisted on walking me to security. "You sure about this?" he asked. "Once you go through those gates?" "I've never been more sure of anything." I hugged him tight. "Thank you. For everything. Just promise you'll actually enjoy Rome instead of plotting revenge the whole time." "Why not both?" I grinned. Going through security felt surreal. Each step took me further from their control, their manipulation, their suffocating version of love. My backup passport worked perfectly. The TSA agent didn't even blink. At my gate, I finally turned my phone back on. Hundreds of messages, dozens of missed calls. But what caught my eye was Bridget's latest Instagram post. A selfie of her looking sad in my bedroom, caption reading, "Sister's night in. Some people don't understand that family comes first." The comments were already rolling in. "You're such a good sister. She doesn't deserve you. Praying for your family." I smiled and opened my own Instagram, unused for months. I posted a single photo, my boarding pass to Rome, with the caption, "Some people don't understand that freedom comes first." Then I turned off my phone, tucked it away, and watched through the terminal window as my future arrived in the form of a Boeing 747. "Now boarding flight 1852 to Rome," the announcer called. I stood up, grabbed my carry-on, and walked toward the gate without looking back. Behind me lay 18 years of being told I was too much, too ambitious, too different. Ahead lay everything I'd fought for. Let Bridget play the victim. Let my parents call the police. Let them all think they knew my story. I was about to write my own. Rome hit me like a symphony. Beautiful, overwhelming, and nothing like the sheltered life I'd left behind. Standing outside Leonardo da Vinci International Airport, I finally turned my phone back on. The messages had evolved from threats to bargaining. "Mom, please just let us know you're safe." "Dad, we can work this out as a family." "Bridget, you're being so selfish." Mom hasn't stopped crying. A new text popped up from an unknown number. "Hi, Olive. I'm Eva from the scholarship program. I'm your assigned mentor. Look for the red scarf at arrivals." I spotted her immediately. Tall, confident, wearing a bright smile along with that red scarf. "You must be our American rebel," she said, pulling me into an unexpected hug. "The program coordinators told me about your family situation. Don't worry, we've got your back." The scholarship residence was a converted monastery in Trastevere, all ancient stone and ivy-covered walls. My room overlooked a courtyard where students from around the world sat discussing politics and philosophy. "Global policy orientation starts in an hour," Eva said, helping me with my bags. "Fair warning, they're throwing you right into the deep end. The UN ambassador to Italy is giving the opening address." I must have looked terrified because she laughed. Relax. From what I've seen of your application, you're more than ready. The orientation room was packed with scholars and diplomats. I found a seat near the front, trying to look like I belonged. Today's first presenter, the program director announced, is a last-minute addition. Olive from New York will share her analysis of grassroots movements in digital spaces. My heart stopped. What? Ava nudged me. Surprise! I recommended you after reading your application essay. Show them what you've got. Walking to the podium, I thought of all the times Bridget had sabotaged my presentations, how my parents had dismissed my achievements. Not this time. I took a deep breath and began. Social media isn't just changing how we communicate. It's revolutionizing how we organize, protest, and create change. For 15 minutes, I owned that room. Questions flew, and I caught them all. The ambassador himself nodded approvingly. Afterward, Eva introduced me to everyone who mattered. Olive's research on digital activism is groundbreaking, she told the program director. We're lucky to have her. My phone buzzed. A local news website from back home had picked up my story. Local students' dramatic path to prestigious scholarship raises questions about family dynamics. The comments section was war. I know this family from church. There's more to this story. Good for her for breaking free. What kind of sister steals a passport? Then I saw Bridget's latest post. A tearful video about praying for those who abandon their families. The comments were less sympathetic than usual. Didn't your sister win some big scholarship? Why would anyone steal their sister's passport? Maybe there's a reason she left. Ava peered over my shoulder. Your sister? The golden child, I said. Or she was. Well, she's about to be overshadowed. The program wants to feature you in their international promo video. Filming starts tomorrow. My hands shook as I realized what this meant. Back home, they'd be forced to watch me succeed. No more hiding my achievements. No more pretending I was the problem. That night, I sat in the courtyard with other scholars, sharing stories over wine and pasta. For the first time, I felt seen, understood, valued. My phone lit up with a news alert. Rising Leader Award nominee, announced Olive from New York, selected for global innovation. Ava appeared with a bottle of champagne. Congratulations, though you might want to check your email first. The program director had written, your presentation today was exceptional. We'd like you to speak at the award ceremony next month. International press will be present. I imagined Bridget's face when she saw the news. Mom and Dad trying to explain to their church friends why they never mentioned their daughter's achievements. You're smiling, Eva observed. Thinking about home? Thinking about justice, I replied. She clinked her glass against mine. To justice, then, and to the family we choose. Under the Roman stars, surrounded by people who celebrated instead of suppressed me, I felt something shift. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about becoming who I was always meant to be. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Dad. We saw the news. We need to talk. I turned off my phone and rejoined the group, where someone was proposing a midnight tour of the Colosseum. Let them squirm. Let them wonder. Let them watch. I was done hiding my light. And now, our special international segment. The news anchor's voice filled my family's living room back in New York. A remarkable story of academic excellence and perseverance. Through Jamal's group chat updates, I could picture the scene perfectly. Mom dropping her coffee mug, Dad frozen in his recliner, Bridget's perfectly curated mask cracking as my face appeared on their TV screen. Olive from Westchester, New York, has been named this year's Rising Leader Award recipient, the anchor continued. Her groundbreaking work on digital activism has caught the attention of global policymakers. The camera cut to my interview, filmed in front of the Trevi Fountain. I'd worn red, Bridget's signature color, just to twist the knife. Success isn't about proving others wrong, I said on screen, looking directly into the camera. It's about proving yourself right. Sometimes the people closest to you can't see your potential. That doesn't make it any less real. Jamal's text came seconds later. Holy shit. Your sister just stormed out. Your mom's trying to call the station to correct some misinformation. The local Facebook groups were exploding. Isn't that the James family's daughter? Their church always made it sound like she was troubled. My kid went to school with her sister Bridget. There were rumors. I watched it unfold through social media. Bridget's carefully constructed image was unraveling in real time. You said she wasn't going anywhere. Bridget's voice echoed through their house, according to Jamal's play-by-play. You said she'd fail. Mom's damage control started immediately. She posted in the church group, "So proud of our Olive. We've always supported her dreams. Proud mama." The comments were merciless. Wasn't this the daughter you said was finding herself? Didn't your other daughter post about her abandoning the family? Pretty sure you told my wife she was lost last Sunday. Dad tried calling again. Olive, please. Your mother's reputation at church. I let it go to voicemail. Bridget's Instagram followers were jumping ship. Her latest tearful video about family loyalty backfired spectacularly. Didn't you steal her passport? My cousin goes to your school. Everyone knows what you did. Maybe focus on your own achievements instead of sabotaging others. She deleted the video, then her entire account. Eva found me watching the chaos unfold from my apartment balcony. Your phone's been buzzing for an hour. Family drama? Justice, I said, showing her the local news website. They dug up my old academic records. Straight A's, science fair wins, debate team championships. All the achievements my family had minimized or ignored. Your sister's youth pastor position? Eva read from her phone. They're reconsidering it due to character concerns. I hadn't planned that part, but karma has its own agenda. Look at this. Eva pointed to another notification. The scholarship program's PR team had released my full schedule of speaking engagements. I'd be addressing the European Parliament next month. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. People are asking questions at church. Please call us. We can explain everything. Then Dad. This isn't very Christian of you, Olive. And finally, Bridget. You've ruined everything. I hope you're happy. I was. Eva poured 2 glasses of wine. To watching them squirm? To living well, I corrected her. It really is the best revenge. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Jamal. You need to see this. He'd sent a video from outside my old house. News vans lined the street. A reporter was interviewing neighbors. They always favored the younger one. That poor girl, working so hard while they praised her sister. The church is launching an investigation into the family's behavior. Mom had locked herself inside. Dad wasn't taking calls. Bridget's friends were distancing themselves publicly. Their perfect family facade was crumbling, and they had no one to blame but themselves. The UN wants you to expand your speaking tour, Eva mentioned casually. 3 more countries, all expenses paid. I thought about my family watching each appearance, unable to deny or diminish my success anymore. Every achievement would be another crack in their carefully constructed narrative. When do we leave? Eva grinned. That's my girl. Oh, and heads up. International press conference tomorrow. Any message you want to send back home? I looked out over Rome's skyline, thinking of all the times they'd told me to dream smaller, aim lower, stay in my place. Just one, I said, pulling up the camera app. Sometimes the black sheep of the family turns out to be the only one who saw things clearly. I posted it with a photo of me at the Coliseum, red dress glowing in the sunset, success written all over my face. Let them choke on it. The press conference room buzzed with energy as cameras flashed. Eva stood beside me, whispering last-minute advice. Remember, you're not just a scholarship recipient anymore. You're a symbol. Ms. Olive, a reporter called out. Your research on digital activism has caught the UN's attention. But there's also significant interest in your personal story. Would you care to comment on the family situation that's gone viral? I leaned into the microphone, thinking of all the times I'd been silenced. My story isn't unique. Many young people face family dynamics that suppress rather than support their ambitions. The difference is, I refuse to accept that suppression as love. Your sister recently posted that you're twisting the narrative for attention. Your response? I think the evidence speaks for itself, I said, pulling up a presentation slide. Here's my academic record. Here's my passport application timeline. Here's the security footage from my high school showing my sister tampering with my science fair project. I didn't create this narrative. I just stopped hiding it. The room erupted with questions. Through the live stream comments, I could see my hometown reacting in real time. Sources say your parents are claiming they always supported your dreams, another reporter pressed. Yet we have multiple church members stating otherwise. I have 18 years of receipts, I replied calmly. Would you like to see them? Back home, Bridget's carefully constructed world was imploding. Jamal sent me clips from her latest youth group meeting. How can you teach us about integrity? One teen challenged her. Didn't you steal your sister's passport? My mom says we need a new youth leader. She'd run out crying. For once, her tears weren't getting her what she wanted. Mom's desperate attempts at damage control only made things worse. She'd posted a long Facebook statement about supporting both our daughters equally, until someone shared screenshots of her previous posts dismissing my achievements. The church board called an emergency meeting. Dad stopped showing up for his men's prayer breakfast. Their social standing was crumbling. Breaking news, my phone alert chimed. Global Policy Initiative expands youth leadership program, names Olive as program ambassador. Eva nudged me. They're offering you a permanent position after graduation. Full diplomatic status. I thought of all the times my parents had insisted I'd never succeed outside their protective bubble. Now I was being offered a career they couldn't even comprehend. One more question, a reporter called out. Your sister's recent video suggested you're punishing the family. Are you? No, I said firmly. I'm succeeding. They're just not used to that. After the conference, Eva showed me the latest stats. My story had gone beyond viral. It was becoming a movement. Why Black Sheep success was trending. Check your email, she said, grinning. The White House Youth Leadership Summit wants you as their keynote speaker. I opened my laptop to find hundreds of messages from young people sharing similar stories. My family tried to stop me from going to college. They always favored my brother. You gave me courage to apply for that scholarship. Then I saw it, an email thread titled Family Updates. Mom had created it years ago to share Bridget's achievements with relatives. I'd never been mentioned. I clicked Reply All and attached my latest interview clip. Sometimes love doesn't feel like love at all. Sometimes it feels like control, like suppression, like constant reminders to be less so someone else can be more. That's not love. That's abuse dressed up as protection. Send. Within minutes, relatives I hadn't heard from in years started responding. We had no idea. Your parents only ever talked about Bridget. This explains so much. Jamal texted. Your mom just left church in tears. The pastor's wife refused to sit with her. Bridget got removed from the youth leadership program, his next message read, officially for personal reasons. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt light, free, like I could finally breathe without wondering if I was taking up too much air. Eva appeared with a stack of papers. Ready to sign your contract? The UN doesn't wait forever. As I signed, my phone lit up with one last message from Dad. We hope you find what you're looking for. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just distance wrapped in passive-aggressive concern. I picked up my phone and typed, I already found it. I found myself, the self you tried to bury. And she's magnificent. Then I turned to Ava. When's our flight to Geneva? Tomorrow morning, she smiled. The world's waiting. Let them watch from their small-town shadows. Let them see what happens when you try to dim someone's light. I was done hiding, and I was just getting started. The gala ballroom sparkled with diplomatic elegance as I adjusted my microphone. 6 months had passed since my escape, and tonight was the culmination of everything. The Rising Leader Award ceremony, broadcast worldwide. Ready? Eva straightened my navy blue gown. Your family's definitely watching. Jamal says they've gathered at your house with the church elders to pray for your soul. I smiled. Let them pray. I'm done feeling guilty for their discomfort. The program director took the stage. Tonight's recipient redefined what it means to overcome adversity. Please welcome Olive. Walking to that podium, I remembered every dismissive comment, every sabotaged opportunity, every time they'd told me to be less. Not tonight. Success stories usually start with, I had a dream, I began. Mine starts with, I had a backup passport. Gentle laughter rippled through the crowd. We talk about toxic relationships, but rarely about toxic love. The kind that clips your wings while claiming to protect you. The kind that praises mediocrity in one child while punishing excellence in another. In the audience, I spotted several ambassadors leaning forward, nodding. My sister stole my passport to stop me from being here tonight. My parents supported her decision, calling it God's will. But here's what they never understood. Sometimes love doesn't feel like love at all. The cameras panned across the rapt audience. They thought they were protecting me. In reality, they were protecting themselves from the discomfort of watching me outgrow their limitations. My phone buzzed silently in my clutch. Jamal's update. Your mom just left the room crying. Bridget's trying to livestream a response but keeps getting error messages. To every young person being told to dream smaller, I continued, to accept less, to stay in their place. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Your potential isn't a threat to anyone except those who want to control you. Ava gave me a thumbs up from the side stage. Tonight I accept this award not just for myself, but for every black sheep who refused to graze where they were told. For every scapegoat who decided to soar instead of suffer. The applause started building. And to my family, watching from home, I paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. Thank you. Your attempts to contain me only proved how much space I was meant to take up. Your fear of my light only showed how brightly it could shine. Standing ovation, camera flashes, tears in the audience. Later at the reception, my phone exploded with notifications. Bridget had finally managed to post her response video. My sister's speech was a cruel attack on our loving family, she sobbed. We only wanted what was best. The comments cut her off. Give it up, sis. Return the passport yet? Your act isn't working anymore. She deleted it within minutes. Ava appeared with a group of UN officials. They want to expand your speaking tour. Asia, Africa, South America. Your story is resonating globally. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. We hope you find what you're looking for. The same message as before. Still no apology. Still no acknowledgement. I handed my phone to Eva. Block their numbers. All of them. You sure? They're not watching to understand. They're watching to find weaknesses, to prove they were right about me all along. I'm done performing for their approval. A reporter approached with one last question. What makes you most proud of your journey? I thought about the scared girl who'd hidden a backup passport, the sister who'd endured years of sabotage, the daughter who'd been told her dreams were too big. That I got here on my own, I said, even when no one believed I should. After the cameras left, Eva found me on the balcony. Your story's been picked up by major networks. They're calling you the voice of a generation. And my family? Your aunt called the program office. Apparently your parents are taking a break from church leadership to focus on family healing. I laughed. Translation? They can't handle the public scrutiny. And Bridget? Lost her youth pastor position, her social media influence, and her perfect daughter crown. Turns out karma doesn't take prayer requests. Eva handed me a glass of champagne. To the black sheep? To freedom, I corrected her, and to never looking back. Below us, Rome glittered like a sea of possibilities. Somewhere in New York, my family was probably crafting their next narrative about their lost daughter. But I wasn't lost. For the first time in my life, I was exactly where I was meant to be. And I was never going back to being small. The interview questions glowed on my laptop screen as I settled into my hotel suite in Geneva. A global youth magazine wanted my take on family dynamics and personal growth. The usual softball questions, until the last one caught my eye. Was revenge worth the cost of losing your family? Ava lounged on the couch nearby, scrolling through our schedule. You don't have to answer that one. Actually, I do. I began typing. Revenge implies I acted out of spite. I simply stopped accepting their version of love as the only version possible. The real question isn't whether revenge was worth it. It's whether freedom is worth the price of admission. My phone buzzed. Jamal had sent a local news clip. My parents' church was splitting over differing interpretations of family values. The pastor who'd once praised their parenting had publicly questioned their methods. Your mom tried joining a new church, Jamal texted. They Googled her first. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no regret, just peaceful detachment. Ms. Olive? A knock at my door. The UN Secretary General moved up your meeting. Cars waiting downstairs. Eva grabbed her tablet. Ready to change some policies? Almost. I turned back to the interview. Success isn't sweet revenge. It's proof that their limitations were never mine. Their small dreams were never my ceiling. Their fear was never my future. The hotel lobby bustled with diplomatic activity. As we waited for the elevator, I noticed a mother and daughter arguing nearby. But I don't want to be a lawyer, the girl protested. I want to study art. We're not having this discussion, the mother hissed. Family tradition. Excuse me, I found myself saying. Both turned, recognizing me instantly. You're that speaker, the mother said. The one whose family tried to clip her wings. Yes. I turned to the daughter. Let me guess. They say they're protecting you? The girl nodded, wide-eyed. Protection that feels like a cage isn't protection at all. I handed her my card. Email me. I know some great art schools in Rome. The mother opened her mouth to object, then stopped, something shifting in her expression. In the car, Eva raised an eyebrow. That was new. Maybe that's the real revenge, I said. Helping others avoid what I went through. My phone lit up with a notification. Bridget had posted for the first time in months. To my sister, I'm sorry. Not for the cameras, not for likes. Just sorry. I was wrong. Comments poured in. Character growth. Finally, some honesty. Takes courage to admit fault. I clicked her profile. Her bio had changed. Learning to celebrate others' light instead of trying to dim it. Are you going to respond? Eva asked. No. I put my phone away. Her growth isn't my responsibility anymore. At the UN building, an aide rushed up. The Secretary General asked if you'd share your personal story before discussing policy. I thought about that scared girl with a backup passport, about Bridget's first genuine apology, about that mother in the lobby, reconsidering her stance. Tell him I'll share something better, I said. I'll share what comes after survival. That evening, back in my suite, I opened my laptop to finish the interview. People ask if revenge was worth losing my family. But that assumes family is only blood and binding ties. Sometimes family is the friend who helps you escape, the mentor who sees your potential, the strangers who become your strongest supporters. Sometimes family is choosing yourself when no one else will. And sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't making them sorry, it's making them irrelevant to your happiness. I hit send, then walked to the window. Geneva's lights sparkled below, each one a possibility, a future, a dream unbound by anyone's limitations but my own. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. I saw your speech. I'm leaving for college tomorrow. My parents said I couldn't, but I got a backup passport too. Thank you for showing me how. I smiled, remembering that first taste of freedom on the flight to Rome. Good luck, I typed back. The world is bigger than their fears. Eva appeared at my door. Car's here. Ready for your TED Talk? I grabbed my notes, catching my reflection in the mirror. No more shadows in my eyes. No more tension in my shoulders. Just strength, purpose, and the quiet confidence of someone who chose herself. Ready, I said, stepping into the hallway. Let's go help some more black sheep fly. Behind me, my phone lit up with another message from Bridget. Whatever it said could wait. I had a future to build, and it was brighter than any past they'd tried to trap me in. That was the sweetest revenge of all.
Money has a way of revealing people's true colors, but sometimes it takes years for those colors to finally show themselves. I learned this lesson the hard way at my brother's dinner party as I watched my parents beam with pride while announcing they'd given him a $50,000 down payment for his new house. My $50,000. I'm Sarah, and this is the story of how I finally stopped being the good daughter. 5 years earlier, I sat across from my father at our family's worn kitchen table, watching him struggle to form words. His hands trembled as he held the termination letter. 25 years at the same company, and they let him go with a pathetic severance package. I don't know how we'll keep the house, he whispered, his voice cracking. Your mother? She can't handle losing our home. I knew what he was asking without him having to say it. I'd just received a substantial bonus at work and had been saving to start my own business. The money represented freedom, dreams, possibilities. How much do you need? I heard myself ask. 50,000 would tide us over until I find something new, he said, eyes down. I'll pay you back as soon as I can with the interest. I wrote the check that evening. Mom hugged me, tears in her eyes, whispering how I was such a good girl. Dad insisted on writing up a simple agreement, which I still have tucked away in my desk drawer. My brother Archer was traveling Europe at the time, living his best life on our parents' dime, completely oblivious to the family crisis. That was then. Now, 5 years later, I sat at another dinner table, this one in an upscale restaurant, watching my family fawn over Archer's latest achievement. To the new homeowner, Mom raised her glass, her face glowing. We're so proud of you, sweetheart. Archer grinned, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. Couldn't have done it without you guys. That down payment was everything. I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. Down payment? Oh, yes, Dad chimed in. We've been saving to help him get started. You know how impossible the housing market is these days. The room started spinning. I set my fork down carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. How much was the down payment? 50,000, Archer said proudly. Got me a great interest rate, too. My best friend Mara's words from years ago echoed in my head. They'll never treat you the same as him. You're the responsible one, the backup plan. He's the golden child. I excused myself to the bathroom, hands shaking as I splashed cold water on my face. When I returned, they were already planning the housewarming party. Later that night, I confronted my parents in their driveway. That was my money, I said quietly. The money I loaned you to save your house. Mom's face changed, her warm smile replaced by something harder. Sarah, dear, that was years ago. We needed it then, and now Archer needed it. He's starting his life. And what about my life, my business plans? You're doing fine, she dismissed with a wave. You've always been so practical. Archer has bigger dreams. He needs the boost. I want my money back. Dad stepped forward, his face stern. Now, Sarah, don't be difficult. It's just money. And look how happy your brother is. Family helps family. I laughed, a hollow sound in the dark driveway. Funny how that only seems to work one way. You're being selfish, Mom snapped. This isn't like you, but it was like me. It had always been like me, the responsible one and the practical one, the one who sacrificed everything for family, while Archer got handed the world on a silver platter. I turned to leave, but Mom grabbed my arm. Sarah, please, don't make this into something ugly. We're family. I looked at her hand on my arm, then into her eyes. Yes, we are, and I'm finally starting to see exactly what that means. As I drove home that night, tears blurred my vision, but something else was building inside me, something that had been dormant for years. Rage, pure, clarifying rage. I pulled into my driveway and took out my phone. My fingers hovered over Mara's number. She'd become a successful attorney since our college days. She'd know exactly what to do. Before I could press dial, a text from Archer lit up my screen. Thanks for coming tonight, sis. Can't wait for you to see the house. You'll love it. I stared at his message, a plan already forming in my mind. Oh, I'd see the house all right, and so would everyone else. Sometimes karma needs a little push, and I was done being the good daughter. They did what? Mara's voice crackled through my phone speaker as I paced my living room. It was 11 p.m., but I couldn't sleep. Gave my money to Archer like it was theirs to give. That's not just wrong, Sarah. That's illegal. I heard rustling papers on her end. Send me that loan agreement, now. I dug through my desk drawer and snapped a photo of the wrinkled document. Dad's signature looked so sincere on that paper. What a joke. Got it, Mara said. This is actually pretty solid for a family agreement. Have you tried asking them directly for repayment? I laughed bitterly. Mom said I was being difficult and selfish. Apparently Archer's dreams are worth more than mine. Of course she did. Mara's eye roll was practically audible. Listen, Imran specializes in property law. Come over for dinner tomorrow. We'll figure this out. The next morning, I decided to visit Archer's new house. He'd been blowing up my phone with excited texts about paint colors and furniture. Playing the supportive big sister one last time wouldn't hurt. Archer met me at the door in designer workout clothes, perfect hair slightly tousled. Sarah, you're just in time. The interior designer just left some samples. The house was gorgeous. High ceilings, hardwood floors, huge windows. My money well spent, apparently. Family photos lined the entryway. Archer's graduation, his travels, Mom and Dad beaming beside him. None of me. What do you think? He gestured proudly around the living room. Pretty amazing, right? It's beautiful, I said, meaning it. Must have been expensive. Worth every penny. Mom and Dad really came through with the down payment. I mean, who has 50 grand just lying around? I did. I had it lying around for my dreams. Actually, I said carefully, where did they get that kind of money? Dad's been retired for years. Archer shrugged, arranging fabric swatches on his new coffee table. They've always been good with money. Remember how they handled that rough patch when Dad lost his job? Yeah, I said quietly. I remember exactly how they handled it. He was still talking about crown molding when I spotted it. A stack of papers on his desk. The top sheet showed the exact amount, $50,000. The date matched perfectly with when my parents gifted him the money. My phone buzzed. Mara, dinner at 7. Imran's making his famous curry. Bring wine and that righteous anger of yours. That evening, over steaming plates of curry, I laid out everything to Mara and Imran. The loan, the betrayal, the house. They're counting on your silence, Imran said, leaning forward. Family pressure keeps most people quiet in these situations. Not this time, I said firmly. Good. He pulled out a legal pad. Because I have an idea. How do you feel about property liens? Mara's eyes lit up. Oh, that's deliciously evil. It's perfectly legal, Imran explained. We file a lien for the original amount plus interest. It becomes public record, affects the property title, impacts their mortgage. Would it hurt his ability to sell? I asked. He'd have to settle the debt first. And here's the best part. We can file it quietly. They won't know until it's done. I took a long sip of wine. Tell me more. But timing is everything, Mara added. When do you want them to find out? My phone buzzed again. Another text from Archer. Having a housewarming party next month. Mom's already planning everything. You'll help, right? I showed them the message, a slow smile spreading across my face. I think I know exactly when. Sarah, Mara said seriously, are you sure about this? It will change everything with your family. I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my feelings, all the times I'd been the responsible one, the practical one, the good daughter, all the times they'd taken advantage of that. They changed everything when they stole my money and gave it to their golden child. I'm just making it official. Imran nodded, already writing. I'll start the paperwork tomorrow. Later that night, I replied to Archer's text. Of course I'll help. What are sisters for? I slept better that night than I had in years. Maybe it was the wine, or maybe it was finally standing up for myself. Either way, I dreamed of karma, justice, and the look on their faces when they realized the good daughter had finally had enough. The next morning, I had 3 missed calls from Mom, probably wanting to discuss party plans. I let them go to voicemail. I had other plans to focus on. You kept the bank receipt too? Imran spread the documents across his desk, clearly impressed. Most people don't think to save everything. I learned early to keep records when dealing with my family, I said, pulling out more papers. Here's the original agreement, the check carbon copy, even the thank you card Mom sent me after. Mara picked up the card, reading aloud, Your generosity will never be forgotten. Well, that aged like milk. The interest calculations are straightforward, Imran said, typing numbers into his calculator. With the standard rate over 5 years, they owe you closer to $65,000 now. My phone buzzed. Mom again. Sarah, darling, we need to discuss the housewarming menu. Call me back. I silenced the phone. How long until the lien is filed? 2 weeks max, but once it's filed, it's public record. Anyone can find it. Perfect timing for the party then, Mara grinned. As I left their office, I quite literally ran into Savannah, Archer's fiancée, outside the local cafe. Papers flew everywhere. Sarah, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. She helped me gather the scattered documents. I was just thinking about you. Are you excited about the housewarming? I quickly tucked the legal papers into my bag. Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. Great. I'm heading to the party planner now. Want to join? Your input would mean so much to Archer. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for Savannah. She had no idea what she was marrying into. Sure, I heard myself say. Let me buy you a coffee first. Over lattes, Savannah bubbled with enthusiasm. We're thinking of making it a real event. Catering, live music, the works. Archer's friend Taylor is helping too. Sounds expensive, I commented. Oh, Archer's parents are covering everything. They're so generous. Did you know they gave us the down payment too? I mean, who does that? I stirred my coffee slowly. They've always been selective with their generosity. What do you mean? Nothing, I smiled. Tell me more about the party plans. An hour later, I had every detail, guest list, timeline, even the exact moment they planned to make their speeches. Savannah had unknowingly given me the perfect blueprint for my revelation. Back home, I found another voicemail from Mom. Sarah, this is getting ridiculous. The party is important to your brother. Stop being difficult. I played it for Mara over the phone that evening. God, she's really something, Mara said. Still trying to control you with guilt. Not anymore. I opened my laptop, showing her the screen over video chat. Look what I found in my email archives. Is that? Every email where they promised to pay me back. Dad even laid out a payment plan he never followed. I forwarded them to Imran. More evidence for our file. You know, Mara said carefully, there's still time to back out. Just demand the money privately. I thought about Mom's dismissive wave in the driveway, Dad's stern disappointment, Archer's oblivious privilege. No, they need to face this publicly, just like they publicly favored him all these years. My doorbell rang. A delivery man held out a package. Inside was a custom photo album with a note from Mom. For displaying at the housewarming, I've collected all our favorite family memories. I flipped through it. Every page showed Archer's achievements, parties, graduations. The few photos of me were group shots where I stood in the background, always slightly out of focus. I took a picture and sent it to Mara. More evidence of their selective memory. She replied immediately, Imran filed the preliminary paperwork today. No turning back now. That night I drafted my speech for the party. It needed to be perfect, calm, collected, but devastating. Every word a carefully placed landmine. My phone lit up with a text from Archer. Sis, Mom says you're being weird about the party. Everything okay? I typed back. Everything's fine. Just busy with work. Don't worry. I'm planning something special for your big day. You're the best, sis. Can't wait. I saved the text thread. One more piece of evidence for my growing file. One more reminder of why I was doing this. The next morning, I had my first moment of doubt. Was I really ready to blow up my entire family? Then I checked my mail. Inside was an invitation to the housewarming party, embossed in gold. Come celebrate our dream home. Our dream home, bought with my stolen dreams. I RSVP'd immediately. Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Sometimes the best revenge is served with a smile and perfect documentation. The housewarming party was exactly as over the top as I expected. String lights twinkled across the manicured lawn, and a jazz quartet played softly in the corner. Catering staff weaved through clusters of well-dressed guests, offering champagne and artisan appetizers. I adjusted my carefully chosen outfit, a sleek black dress that had cost nearly a month's salary. If I was going to destroy my family's facade, I'd look damn good doing it. Sarah! Mom rushed over, air-kissing my cheek. Finally! I was worried you wouldn't show. Love the dress, though maybe a bit dark for a celebration. I thought it was perfect for tonight. I smiled, handing her an expensive bottle of champagne. Where's the guest of honor? Showing off the kitchen remodel. Did you see the imported marble countertops? Yes, I thought. I paid for them. I'll go congratulate him. I made my way through the crowd, accepting hugs and small talk. Archer held court in the kitchen, surrounded by admirers. There's my big sister. He pulled me into a hug. You've been so busy lately, I was starting to think you were avoiding us. Just making sure everything was perfect for tonight. I gestured to Savannah, who was showing off her engagement ring to some guests. How's the wedding planning going? Amazing. Mom's already talking about helping with the down payment on a bigger house once we have kids. My hand tightened around my champagne glass. How generous of her. Taylor, Archer's best friend, appeared with more drinks. Sarah, ready for the speeches later? I hear you're closing them out. Wouldn't have it any other way. I spotted Imran entering through the front door, right on schedule. He caught my eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. The papers had been served. Mom clinked her glass, gathering everyone's attention. If everyone could move to the living room, we'd like to start the toast. I watched the crowd to shuffle in, taking mental snapshots of their faces. In 30 minutes, those same faces would be twisted with shock. "Sarah," Mara whispered, appearing at my elbow. "Last chance to back out." "Not a chance." I straightened my spine. "Is everything set?" Imran confirmed the lien was filed this afternoon. It's official. Mom was arranging people near the fireplace, positioning Archer and Savannah in the center like they were royalty. Dad stood proudly beside them, beaming. Taylor started the speeches, telling funny stories about house hunting with Archer. More friends followed, each toast more glowing than the last. Then Dad stepped forward, glass raised. "When Archer told us he wanted to buy a house, we knew we had to help. That's what family does. We support each other's dreams." My laugh was just loud enough to make Mom shoot me a warning look. Archer spoke next. "I couldn't have done this without my amazing parents. Their generosity made this dream possible. And of course, my beautiful fiancée, Savannah, who makes this house a home." Applause filled the room. Mom turned to me, eyebrows raised expectantly. "Sarah, would you like to say something about your brother's achievement?" "I would love to." I moved to the center of the room, champagne glass held high. My hands weren't shaking anymore. "What can I say about this beautiful house?" The room quieted, all eyes on me. Mara positioned herself near the door. Imran stood quietly in the corner, legal papers ready. "Family really is everything, isn't it?" I continued, my voice clear and steady. "The sacrifices we make for each other, the trust we place in each other, the debts we owe each other." Mom's smile faltered slightly. 5 years ago, I made a sacrifice for this family. I loaned my parents $50,000 when they were about to lose their house. They promised to pay me back. I turned to face Archer directly. Instead, they gave it to you. The room went deadly quiet. Savannah's hand flew to her mouth. "Sarah," Dad warned, stepping forward, "this isn't the time." "Actually, it's exactly the time." I pulled out my phone, showing the banking app. "The exact amount you gave Archer for his down payment, my money, my sacrificed dreams, my business that never started." Archer's face had gone pale. "What is she talking about?" "Oh, they never told you?" I smiled. "Ask them about the loan agreement they signed. Ask them about the promises they made. Better yet." I nodded to Imran, who stepped forward with the papers. "Ask them about the lien I just filed on your new house." The champagne glass in Mom's hand crashed to the floor, shattering in perfect synchronization with her carefully constructed image of family harmony. Sometimes karma needs an audience. "What do you mean, a lien?" Archer's voice cracked as he stared at the papers in Imran's hands. The jazz quartet had stopped playing, leaving only the sound of shocked whispers filling the room. "It means," I said, my voice carrying clearly, "that your house now has a legal claim against it for $65,000, the original loan plus interest." "You're lying." Mom stepped forward, glass crunching under her heels. "We never signed anything." Imran cleared his throat. "Actually, Mrs. James, I have the original loan agreement right here, with both your signatures." Savannah grabbed the papers, her eyes widening as she read. "Archer, this is real. There's a legal document from 5 years ago." "Mom?" Archer turned to our parents, his face flushed. "Dad, what's going on?" Dad's shoulders slumped. "We were going to lose everything. Sarah helped us. And then you took my money and gave it to him." I pointed to the marble countertops, the hardwood floors. All of this built on my stolen dreams. Stolen? Mom's voice rose sharply. We're your parents. Everything we've done has been for this family. For this family, I laughed. You mean for Archer, always for Archer. The guests began edging toward the door, but I wasn't done. I pulled out my phone and started reading emails. Dear Sarah, we'll start paying you back next month. That was 4 years ago. Sarah, honey, just give us until Christmas. 3 years ago. Sarah, we're still a bit tight, but soon. 2 years ago. I looked up. Want to hear more? Stop this right now, Mom hissed. You're ruining everything. No, you ruined everything when you betrayed me. Savannah stepped away from Archer, her engagement ring catching the light. You knew about this? You knew this house was bought with stolen money? I didn't know, Archer protested. Mom, tell her I didn't know. Taylor awkwardly raised his hand. Maybe I should cancel the champagne tower. The lien is already filed, Imran explained calmly. It's public record now. Any potential mortgage refinancing sale or even your upcoming wedding property arrangements will be affected until the debt is settled. Wedding arrangements? Savannah's voice went up an octave. Archer, we're supposed to close on the marriage property contract next week. We can fix this, Dad said desperately. Sarah, please, we'll figure something out. Like you figured it out the last 5 years? I pulled out the photo album Mom had sent. Look at this. Every family photo, every celebration, every proud moment, all Archer. I was just the ATM you kept in the background. Mom grabbed the album. That's not true. We love you both equally. Equally? I gestured around the room. Show me one thing in this house that equals what you stole from me. One thing that matches my sacrifice business, my delayed life. The remaining guests were practically sprinting for the door now. Mara stood guard, making sure no one interrupted. I think, Savannah said quietly, slipping off her engagement ring, I need some time to think about everything. She placed the ring on the marble countertop and walked out. Savannah, wait! Archer called after her, then turned to me. Are you happy now? You've ruined everything. No, little brother. Mom and Dad ruined everything. I'm just making sure everyone knows it. We did what was best, Mom insisted, but her voice wavered. Archer needed, I cut her off. What about what I needed? What about my dreams, my future? The lien can be settled immediately, Imran interjected, with full payment of the debt. Otherwise it remains on the property indefinitely. Dad reached for his wallet. I'll write a check right now? No. I held up my hand. I want everyone to live with this for a while. Let it sink in. Let the consequences play out. You vindictive little... Mom started, but Dad grabbed her arm. Cecilia, stop. We did this. The jazz quartet had packed up their instruments. The catering staff was awkwardly clearing abandoned champagne glasses. Taylor had disappeared, probably calling everyone who hadn't arrived yet to warn them away. I picked up my purse, ready to leave. Enjoy the house, Archer. Every time you look at these beautiful walls, remember what they really cost. Sarah, please. Mom tried one last time. We're family. I turned at the door, Mara and Imran flanking me. Yes, we are, and now everyone knows exactly what kind of family we are. As we walked out, I heard the first sob. Archer, probably realizing his perfect life wasn't so perfect anymore. But I didn't look back. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth, it's making everyone live with it. You can't leave yet, Dad called after me, his footsteps quick on the stone pathway. We need to fix this now. I turned around in the driveway, where shocked guests were hurriedly getting into their cars. Fix it? Like you fixed it when you stole my money? We didn't steal. He stopped as Imran cleared his throat meaningfully. Look, I'll write you a check right now. We can make this go away. Make it go away, I laughed. Like you made me go away every time Archer needed something? Mom burst out of the house, mascara streaking down her face. Savannah just called her parents. Do you have any idea what you've done to this family's reputation? Our reputation? I gestured to the departing guests. You mean the reputation you built on lies and theft? It wasn't theft. Mom's voice rose hysterically. We're your parents. Being parents doesn't give you the right to steal my future. Archer appeared in the doorway, his perfect hair now disheveled. My mortgage broker just called. The lien is already showing up in the system. Of course it is, Imran said smoothly. Property lines are filed electronically these days, very efficient. This is insane, Archer ran his hands through his hair. I can't believe you do this to your own brother. Really? I stepped closer to him. I can't believe you never once asked where Mom and Dad got $50,000 when Dad hasn't worked in years. I assumed. You assumed what? That money just appears when Golden Child Archer needs something? Savannah's car peeled out of the driveway, gravel sprang. Archer watched her go, his face crumpling. I'll pay you back. Dad tried again. Just remove the lien. Like you paid me back all those other times you promised? I pulled out my phone. Should I read those emails again? Stop it! Mom grabbed for my phone, but Mara stepped between us. I wouldn't, she said quietly. Assault charges wouldn't look good on top of everything else. A neighbor had come out to watch the drama unfolding. More faces appeared in nearby windows. This is just money, Mom pleaded. Family is more important than money. This was never about money, I shouted, finally losing my composure. This was about you always choosing him, about you stealing my dreams to fund his, about you thinking I wouldn't fight back. Fight back? Archer scoffed. This isn't fighting back. This is nuclear revenge. No, I turned to him. This is consequences, something you've never had to face. Taylor emerged from the house carrying boxes of unopened champagne. So, I guess we're not doing the midnight toast? Get out, Taylor, Archer snapped. Your mortgage company will be calling tomorrow, Imran explained calmly. The lien affects your ability to maintain the current terms. You might want to contact your lawyer. Our lawyer? Mom straightened up. Fine, we'll get our lawyer involved. Please do, Imran smiled. I'd love to explain to them how you misappropriated a documented loan. Dad stepped forward, his voice low. Sarah, please, we can work this out privately, as a family. We stopped being a family the moment you decided my money was yours to give away. A car door slammed. Savannah had come back. She marched up to Archer, eyes blazing. My father just called our wedding planner, she said. Apparently, we need to reassess the financial situation before proceeding with deposits. Savannah, baby, please, don't baby me. Were you ever going to tell me about this? About where the money really came from? Mom tried to intervene. Savannah, dear, you don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. Savannah's voice was ice. I understand that my future in-laws are thieves and my fiancé is either complicit or an idiot. She turned to me. I'm sorry they did this to you. I really am. But I'm also sorry you waited until after I planned half a wedding to blow everything up. That's fair, I nodded. But would you rather have found out after? Savannah looked at her engagement ring, then at Archer. I need time. A lot of time. She walked away again, this time slower, more final. The neighbor was now openly recording with his phone. Mom noticed and hurried inside, pulling Dad with her. Archer stood frozen, watching his perfect life crumble. The lien paperwork is on your kitchen counter, Imran called after them, in case you want to read the terms. I turned to leave, but Archer grabbed my arm. Why? He whispered. Why like this? I looked at his hand on my arm, then into his eyes. Because you never saw me. None of you did. But you see me now, don't you? I walked away, leaving him standing in the driveway of his dream house, a house built on stolen dreams. Behind me, I heard Mom start to cry again, but this time I didn't feel guilty at all. The next morning, my phone showed 27 missed calls. Mom, Dad, Archer, even Taylor. Only Savannah's message was worth reading. I moved out this morning. You were right. Better to know now. I was sipping coffee when someone pounded on my door. Through the peephole, I saw Dad looking haggard in yesterday's clothes. I know you're in there, Sarah, he called out. The bank just called. They're reviewing Archer's mortgage. I opened the door but blocked the entrance. Sounds like a problem between Archer and his bank. This isn't you, he pleaded. You're not vindictive like this. You're right. I learned it from you and Mom. He deflated, suddenly looking every bit his 60 years. We made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting my birthday. This was calculated theft. We were trying to help your brother by stealing from me. I stepped onto my porch, forcing him back. Do you know what that money was for? My business plan? The contracts I had lined up? You never told us. I told you every time I asked for repayment, every time you promised next month or after Christmas or when things get better. But things only got better for Archer, didn't they? A car pulled up. Mom and Archer. Great. Family intervention time. The mortgage company wants immediate resolution, Archer said, waving his phone. They're threatening to adjust our rates. Sounds expensive, I replied. Maybe Mom and Dad can help. They're so generous with other people's money. This isn't funny, Mom snapped. Your brother could lose his house. Like you almost lost yours before I stepped in? That was different. Why? Because it was you? Because precious Archer needs it more? Because we're your parents, Mom's voice cracked. Everything we did was for this family. No, I said quietly. Everything you did was for him. I was just the backup plan, the responsible one, the ATM. Archer stepped forward. Look, I'll take out a loan, pay you back myself. With what collateral? The house you bought with my money? Stop saying that, Mom shrieked. Stop throwing this in our faces. Why? Because the truth hurts? Because the neighbors might hear? Because your perfect family image is cracking? I called the grandma, Archer said. She's horrified at what you're doing. I laughed. Did you tell her where the money came from? Or did you feed her the same lies you've been telling everyone else? Dad tried again. Sarah, please, we're sorry. We should have asked. Asked? You should have paid me back. You should have respected me. You should have treated me like I mattered. The door across the street opened. My neighbor Susan came out to check her mail, clearly eavesdropping. The wedding venue needs an answer by tomorrow, Archer said. Savannah won't return my calls. Smart girl, I nodded. She saw what took me years to see. And what's that? Mom demanded. That this family is built on lies, that your love comes with conditions, that Archer gets everything while I get empty promises. That's not true, Dad protested. Really? Name one time you sacrificed for me like I did for you. One time you put my needs first. The silence was deafening. The lien stays, I said firmly, until I'm paid back in full with interest. And not just the money. I want a public apology. I want everyone to know what you did. You're destroying this family, Mom cried. No, you destroyed it. I'm just making sure everyone sees the ruins. Archer's phone buzzed. His face fell as he read the message. Savannah's parents want to meet with their lawyer. Karma's interesting, isn't it? I smiled. How everything comes out eventually. We could have handled this privately. Dad tried one last time. Like you handled stealing from me privately, taking my dreams privately, favoring Archer privately. More neighbors were watching now. Susan had given up pretending to check her mail. Get off my property, I said quietly. All of you. Have your lawyers contact Imran. That's all you'll get from me now. Sarah. Mom reached for me, but I stepped back. You know what's funny? I kept hoping you'd see me, really see me. Now you do, and you're horrified by what you created. I went inside and locked the door, leaving them standing on my porch. Through the window, I watched them slowly return to their cars, defeated. My phone buzzed with a text from Mara. You okay? I typed back, never better. Turns out revenge doesn't just expose others, it frees you too. Outside, I heard their cars start up. Mom was crying again. Dad looked broken. Archer was on his phone, probably calling another lawyer. But for the first time in years, I felt light, free, seen. Sometimes the best revenge is simply standing up and saying, no more. The certified letter arrived on a sunny Tuesday morning. Inside was a cashier's check for $65,000, along with a handwritten note from Dad. You were right. We were wrong. The public apology will be in tomorrow's paper. I called Mara immediately. They paid the whole amount? Every penny. I stared at the check. Apparently they took out a home equity loan on their house. Ironic, she laughed. Taking out a loan to pay back a loan. My doorbell rang. Savannah stood there, looking elegant as always. Can we talk? I let her in, offering coffee. She settled onto my couch, hands clasped tightly. The wedding's officially canceled, she said, but that's not why I'm here. I want to invest in your business. I nearly dropped my mug. What? Archer told me about your original business plan, the one you had to abandon. It's brilliant. I showed it to my father and he agrees. How did Archer know about? Your parents finally told him everything, all the opportunities you gave up, all the times you helped them. He's different now, humbled. My phone buzzed. A text from Imran. Just filed the lien release. The house is clear. I don't need investors, I started, but Savannah cut me off. This isn't charity, it's business. My father's venture capital firm wants to meet with you. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Mom, have you seen the paper? She asked, her voice small. It's not out until tomorrow. They let us preview it. I need you to know we meant every word. I'll read it tomorrow. Sarah, her voice cracked, we're selling the house. The big one we kept after Dad retired, the one you helped us save. It's too much space anyway, and, well, we need to make things right. I ended the call and looked at Savannah. Why would you want to work with me after what I did to your wedding? Because you did what I couldn't. Stood up to toxic family dynamics. Besides, she smiled, my father always says invest in someone who knows their worth. The next morning, the newspaper's apology section was impossible to miss. My parents had bought a full page, to our daughter Sarah and our community. We write this to publicly acknowledge our profound betrayal of trust. 5 years ago, our daughter saved our home with a substantial loan. Instead of repaying her, we gave that money to our son for his house down payment. We prioritized one child's dreams while stealing another's. We fostered favoritism, enabled entitlement, and broke sacred trust. Our actions cost more than money. They cost relationships, respect, and family bonds. We are deeply sorry for our betrayal, our lies, and our failure to treat both our children equally. To Sarah, you deserved better. Your dreams mattered. They still matter. Cecilia and Reginald. My phone started ringing. First Archer. I sold the house, he said without preamble. Taking a loss, but it's done. I'm moving into a small apartment, getting a second job. Archer. No, let me finish. I've been thinking about what you said, about consequences, about seeing you. I never saw you, Sarah. None of us did. I'm sorry. Next was Dad. The small house closes next week, he said. Your mother is adjusting, but we're doing what we should have done years ago. living within our means, taking responsibility. I met with Savannah's father that afternoon. He reviewed my business plan, asked sharp questions, and made an offer that left me speechless. Why? I asked. Because you showed integrity, resilience, and business sense. You documented everything, planned carefully, and executed precisely. That's exactly what I look for in an investment. That evening, Mara and Imran came over with wine. To karma, Mara raised her glass. To consequences, Imran added. To finally being seen, I said. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. We're having a small dinner next week. Just family. To talk. Really talk. Will you come? I looked at the newspaper apology, the business contract, the lien release. All the pieces of justice and vindication I'd fought for. Yes, I texted back. But this time we do it my way. Mara read the text over my shoulder. Are you sure? I nodded. They've lost their power over me. Now we can either build something new or walk away completely. Either way, it's my choice. And that, Imran raised his glass again, is the best revenge of all. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Sometimes justice isn't about getting even, it's about getting free, and I was finally completely free.
I never expected a dusty old letter to destroy my family, but that's exactly what happened last Tuesday. My name is Maddie, and until that morning, I was just another vocal teacher living a perfectly ordinary life in suburban Connecticut. I'd been clearing out my grandmother's house. She'd passed away 3 months ago, when I found it tucked inside an old photo album. The envelope was yellowed, the edges worn soft from age. It was addressed to my father, dated 26 years ago, and marked urgent, personal. I probably shouldn't have opened it, but Grandma had always been closer to me than anyone else in the family, and something about finding this letter among her private things made me pause. Hey, Dad, I said into my phone, standing in Grandma's musty living room. I'm at the house. Found some interesting old photos you might want to see. Can't today, sweetie. Big meeting downtown. His voice had that distracted tone I'd grown used to. Maybe this weekend? I fingered the edge of the envelope. Sure. No rush. I hung up and stared at the letter for a long moment before carefully breaking the seal. The handwriting was unfamiliar, elegant cursive that flowed across the page. As I read, my hands started shaking so badly I had to sit down on Grandma's plastic-covered couch. Dear Robert, it began. I know you've made your choice to stay with your family, and I respect that. But there's something you need to know. Im pregnen. The room seemed to tilt sideways. I read the letter 3 times, each word burning itself into my brain. The writer, Sarah Anderson, explained she wasn't asking for money or marriage. She just wanted my father to know he had 2 more children out there, Lily and Ethan, my half-siblings. I must have sat there for hours, because when my phone buzzed, the sun was setting. It was my brother Jack. Where are you? He demanded. Mom's been trying to reach you all afternoon. We're supposed to have dinner tonight, remember? Sorry, imungret. Lost track of time. Classic Maddie, he scoffed. Always in your own little world. Some of us have real responsibilities, you know. I barely heard his complaints. My mind was racing through every family gathering, every holiday, every time Dad had been working late or away on business. How many lies had he told? How many secrets was he still keeping? Jack, I interrupted. Do you ever think about? Has Dad ever seemed? What? Nothing. Never mind. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I folded the letter carefully and slipped it into my purse. At dinner, I watched my father laugh and joke, playing the perfect family man. Mom smiled adoringly at him, while Jack hung on his every word. They looked so normal, so happy. I felt like I was watching actors in a play, seeing the performance for what it really was for the first time. Everything okay, sweetie? Dad asked, catching me staring. You've barely touched your food. I forced a smile. Just tired. Long day of sorting through Grandma's things. Find anything interesting? Our eyes met across the table, and for a second, I thought I saw something flicker behind his confident smile, a hint of worry, maybe even fear. But then it was gone, replaced by his usual charm. Nothing much, I lied. Just old photos. Later that night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. It would be so easy to search for them, Lily and Ethan Anderson. To see the faces of the siblings I never knew I had. To unravel the careful fiction my father had built around our family. I closed the laptop without searching. Not yet. First, I needed a plan. Because one thing was certain, this secret wasn't staying buried any longer. The next morning, I couldn't focus during my vocal lessons. My student, a promising soprano, hit a perfect high C, but I barely noticed. The letter in my purse felt like it was burning a hole through the leather. "Miss Turner," she asked, waving her hand in front of my face. "Was that better?" "Sorry, Emily. Let's take a break." I checked my phone, 3 missed calls from Jack. Great. I'd barely set the phone down when it buzzed again. This time I answered. "What?" "Dad's worried about you," Jack said without preamble. "Says you were acting weird at dinner last night." "What's going on?" "Nothing's going on. I'm working." "Right. Because teaching teenagers to sing is such demanding work." His tone dripped with the same condescension he'd been using since I chose music over joining Dad's business. "Look, we're having lunch with Dad today." He insists. My stomach clenched. "I can't. It's not optional, Maddie." "Well, I arrived at the restaurant 10 minutes late, hoping to avoid the pre-lunch small talk. No such luck. Dad and Jack were waiting outside, deep in conversation about some business deal. They looked so similar, both in crisp suits, both radiating that easy confidence that came from never having their worlds turned upside down. "There's my girl." Dad opened his arms for a hug. I gave him a quick, stiff embrace, noticing how he frowned at my response. Over bread and salads, they talked about Jack's latest promotion while I pushed lettuce around my plate. Dad kept glancing at me, his smile a little too bright, a little too forced. "So," he said during a lull, "how's the rest of the cleanup going at your grandmother's house?" I met his gaze. "Interesting. Found lots of old papers. Letters. That sort of thing." His fork paused halfway to his mouth. "Anything important?" "Maybe. I'm still sorting through everything." Jack rolled his eyes. "Who cares about old papers?" "Dad, tell Maddie about that development deal you're consulting on." But Dad's attention stayed on me. "You know, sweetheart, I could help you go through those papers. Save you some time." "I bet you could," I muttered. "What was that?" "Nothing." I stood up abruptly. "I need some air." Outside, I leaned against the brick wall, taking deep breaths. A moment later, Jack followed me. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he demanded. "Dad's trying to help, and you're acting like a teenager. You don't understand." "No, you don't understand. Some of us actually appreciate what Dad's done for this family. While you've been playing music teacher, he's been making sure we're all taken care of." I laughed, a harsh sound that surprised us both. "All of us? You sure about that, Jack?" His eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before I could answer, Dad appeared in the doorway. "Everything okay out here?" "Fine," I said quickly. "I just remembered I have a student coming in soon. I should go." "Maddie, wait." Dad caught my arm as I passed. His voice dropped low. "Whatever you think you know. Let's talk about it first. Just you and me." I pulled away. "Like you talked to Mom about Sarah Anderson?" The color drained from his face. Behind him, Jack looked confused. "Who's Sarah Anderson?" "Nobody," Dad said quickly. "An old business associate." "Right." I grabbed my purse. "Just business. That's what it's always been, hasn't it, Dad?" I walked away, my hands shaking. I'd promised myself I wouldn't confront him like this, wouldn't let emotion drive my actions. But seeing him there, so composed, so certain of his control over everything and everyone, it made something snap inside me. My phone buzzed with a text from Jack. What the hell was that about? I ignored it and opened my laptop instead. It was time to find out exactly who Lily and Ethan Anderson were. Time to see what other secrets my father had been hiding all these years. What I found made me wish I'd never looked. I needed someone to talk to before I completely lost my mind. That's how I ended up at Grace's house at 11 at night, clutching my laptop and the damning evidence I'd found. "Holy shit," Grace whispered, scrolling through the social media profiles I'd discovered. "Lily Anderson looks exactly like you." She did. Same dark hair, same smile, even the same way of tilting her head in photos. But it was the other discoveries that had sent me spiraling. Look at this. I pointed to an old newspaper article. Dad was on the board of directors for the art gallery where Sarah Anderson worked. He didn't just have an affair, he was her boss. Grace's eyes widened. That's complicated. It gets worse. I pulled up another page. He's been paying for things. College tuition for both kids, starter money for Lily's art studio, the down payment on Ethan's condo. While you had to take out loans for music school, Grace finished quietly. My phone buzzed, another text from Jack. I'd been ignoring him for 3 days, but he was getting more insistent. He keeps demanding answers. Says Dad's acting strange, missing meetings. Good, Grace said. Let him squirm. I ran my fingers through my hair. I don't know what to do. If I tell Mom. Tell me what? We both jumped. My mother stood in Grace's doorway, still in her tennis clothes. I'd forgotten she and Grace were doubles partners. Evelyn. Grace stammered. We were just having a private conversation about my family. Mom's voice was steel wrapped in silk. I thought I might find you here, Maddie. Your father's worried sick. I closed the laptop, but not before Mom caught a glimpse of the screen. Her face changed, just slightly, but enough for me to realize something I should have seen before. You know, don't you? The silence stretched between us. Grace quietly excused herself to the kitchen. How long have you known? I asked. Mom sat down, her perfect posture never wavering. Since the beginning. Sarah called me before she sent that letter to your father. The room spun. 26 years. You've known for 26 years and never said anything. What good would it have done? She smoothed her tennis skirt. Your father made his choice. He stayed. He stayed and kept supporting them in secret. Paying for their education while my voice cracked. While you what? Chose to pursue music instead of joining the family business? That was your decision, Maddie. This isn't about my career choices. It's about lies and... My phone rang. Dad's name flashed on the screen. Answer it, Mom said quietly. He deserves a chance to explain. I let it go to voicemail. Like he explained to you? You don't understand. Then help me understand. Help me understand why my entire life feels like a lie. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Grace peeked in. Maddie? Your father's here. My heart stopped. You called him? I had to, Grace said. He came by my house earlier, worried sick about you. I might have let slip that you found something in your grandmother's house. I stared at her, betrayal burning in my chest. Through the window, I could see Dad standing on the porch, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Let him in, Mom said. It's time we all talked. No. I grabbed my purse. I'm not ready, Maddie. But I was already heading for the back door, ignoring their calls. In my car, I pulled up Lily Anderson's profile again. Her art gallery was having an opening this weekend. The invitation was public. Maybe it was time to meet my sister. Behind me, I could see Dad entering Grace's house, could imagine the conversation starting without me. Let them talk. Let them try to control the narrative like they always had. I had other plans now. I spent 3 days hiding out in my apartment, screening calls and canceling lessons. On the 4th morning, someone knocked on my door. I expected Dad or Grace, maybe even Jack. Instead, I found Professor Wilson standing there, looking exactly as he had when I was his student 15 years ago. Your father called me, he said, holding up a paper cup. Brought your favorite tea. I let him in more out of muscle memory than anything else. He'd always had a way of appearing when I was about to make a terrible decision. The gallery opening is tomorrow, I said, taking the tea. He nodded, surveying the chaos of my living room. Laptop open to Lily's website, social media printouts scattered everywhere. The letter from Sarah Anderson front and center. Your father mentioned you found something disturbing. Did he tell you what it was? No. He settled into my armchair. But I remember Sarah Anderson. She was quite talented. Her daughter seems to have inherited that gift. I nearly dropped my tea. You knew. I knew Sarah. The rest. He gestured vaguely. One draws conclusions. Why didn't you ever say anything? Not my story to tell. He picked up one of Lily's gallery postcards. But I see you're planning to make it yours. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Jack, Dad's in the hospital. Stress-induced cardiac episode. Come home now. My hands started shaking. Professor Wilson gently took the phone, read the message, and handed it back. Your father's actions have consequences, he said quietly. But so do yours. Are you saying this is my fault? I'm saying revenge rarely brings the satisfaction we expect. He stood up. Before you go to that gallery opening, ask yourself what you're really hoping to achieve. I just want the truth. No, he said, heading for the door. You want justice. But justice and revenge aren't always the same thing. After he left, I sat staring at my phone. Dozens of missed calls from Mom, Jack, even Grace. Finally, I dialed the hospital. Turner, I told the receptionist. Robert Turner's room? Family only, she said. I'm his daughter. A pause. Oh yes. Miss Turner, your brother said you'd be coming. Room 412. I found Jack pacing outside Dad's room. When he saw me, his face darkened. Nice of you to finally show up. Want to tell me what the hell is going on? Through the window, I could see Dad sleeping, monitors beeping steadily. Mom sat beside him, holding his hand, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. How bad is it? I asked. Minor episode, they say. Brought on by stress. Jack stepped closer. What did you say to him at Grace's house? He came home completely shaken. Nothing he didn't already know. Stop being cryptic. If you know something, ask him about Sarah Anderson, I said. Ask him about Lily and Ethan. Jack's face went blank, then flushed with anger. You're lying. Am I? Look at Lily's picture. I pulled up her gallery website. Look at her and tell me you don't see it. He stared at the screen, his expression shifting from denial to shock to something darker. How long have you known? Does it matter? Of course it matters. He grabbed my arm. Everything matters. The company, the inheritance, our whole family. Jack, Mom's voice came from the doorway. Your father's asking for both of you. Inside the room, Dad looked old and vulnerable in his hospital gown. The mighty Robert Turner, brought low by his own secrets. Maddie, he said weakly, I can explain everything. I thought about Professor Wilson's words about justice and revenge, about consequences and truth, about the gallery opening tomorrow where my half-sister would be celebrating her first solo show, blissfully unaware her world was about to shatter. No, I said. I don't think you can. I turned and walked out, ignoring their calls, my footsteps echoing in the sterile hallway. I had a decision to make, and for the first time, I wasn't sure revenge was the answer I'd been looking for. The gallery was smaller than I expected, tucked between a coffee shop and a bookstore. Through the window, I could see Lily arranging flowers near her paintings, her movements so familiar they made my chest ache. She had Mom's grace, Dad's confident smile. I'd been sitting in my car for 20 minutes when someone tapped on my window. A young man with dark hair and Dad's jawline stood there, arms crossed. You're Maddie Turner, he said when I rolled down the window. I recognize you from your website. Voice teacher, right? My throat went dry. Ethan, want to tell me why you're stalking my sister? I got out of the car, legs shaking. How did you? Find out. He pulled out his phone, showing me a text from Jack. Your brother reached out. Said we should know someone might try to cause trouble at Lily's opening. Of course Jack would interfere. He'd always been Dad's protector. I'm not here to cause trouble. No. Ethan's eyes, Dad's eyes, studied me. Then why are you here? Before I could answer, Lily emerged from the gallery. Ethan? Who's this? She was even more striking in person, her presence filling the space between us with unspoken questions. I opened my mouth, but no words came. This is Maddie Turner, Ethan said carefully. Robert Turner's daughter. Lily's smile faltered. Turner? As in, the board member who's been supporting my work. Supporting more than that, I muttered. What's that supposed to mean? My phone buzzed, Mom calling again. I ignored it. Look, Ethan stepped between us. This isn't the place. When's your birthday? I blurted out to Lily. April 15th, she answered, confused. Why? 9 months after Dad's business trip to Vancouver. I pulled out Sarah's letter. Where he met your mother. The color drained from Lily's face. Ethan grabbed the letter, scanning it quickly. His hands started shaking. Where did you get this? Our grandmother kept it. All these years she knew. Everyone knew except us. Lily sank onto a nearby bench. Mom always said. She said he was just a patron who believed in her art. He believed in more than her art. The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. That's enough, Ethan snapped. You don't get to show up here and destroy our lives because you're angry at your father. Our father, I corrected. The gallery door chimed. An elegant woman in her 60s emerged, Sarah Anderson, looking exactly like her social media photos. She stopped short when she saw us. Maddie, she said softly, you look just like your grandmother. The world tilted sideways. You knew her. She reached out after finding my letter. We met for coffee once. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to make sure her other grandchildren were being taken care of. Other grandchildren. The words hit like a physical blow. My phone buzzed again, a text from Jack. Dad's being released. Don't do this. But looking at Lily's shattered expression, Ethan's protective stance, Sarah's quiet dignity, I realized I already had done it. I'd walked into their lives like a wrecking ball, thinking only of my own pain. I'm sorry, I whispered. I shouldn't have come. No, Lily said suddenly, standing up. Stay. Please. Ethan started to protest, but she cut him off. I want to know everything. About Dad, about Robert. About our grandmother. About you. Lily, Sarah warned. Your opening can wait. Lilimit my eyes. Some things are more important than art. I looked at my phone again, at the dozens of missed calls from my family. Then at this other family, my family, standing before me with questions in their eyes that matched my own. There's a coffee shop next door, I said quietly. As we walked toward it, I realized Professor Wilson was right. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about something much more complicated and much more important. 3 days after meeting Lily and Ethan, Dad showed up at my apartment. He looked better than he had in the hospital, but his hands trembled as he held out an envelope. What's this? I asked, not inviting him in. A trust fund. The same amount I set up for Lily and Ethan. He cleared his throat. It's what you deserve. The envelope felt like it was burning my fingers. You're trying to buy my silence? I'm trying to make things right. I laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the hallway. Right? You had 26 years to make things right. Maddie, please. He stepped forward. I know you met them. Jack told me. Of course he did. I ripped open the envelope. The number of zeros on the check made me dizzy. This is what family means to you, isn't it? Just numbers on paper. That's not fair. Fair. I threw the check at him. Was it fair when I had to take out loans for music school while you were paying Lily's tuition? Was it fair when you missed my graduate recital because you were at Ethan's high school graduation? His face went pale. How did you? Sarah kept a diary. Documented everything. I hadn't meant to reveal that, but watching him flinch made it worth it. Every visit, every payment, every lie. I did what I thought was best. For who? My voice cracked. Because it wasn't for Mom, or me, or even them. It was all about protecting yourself. My phone buzzed, a text from Lily. Dad's lawyer called. Wants to meet tomorrow. Dad saw the message. They're still my children, Maddie. No, I said quietly. We're your secret. They're your legacy. The elevator dinged, and Jack stepped out. Of course, Dad hadn't come alone. This has gone far enough, Jack said. You're destroying everything Dad built. He destroyed it himself. I'm just exposing the truth. The truth. Jack grabbed my arm. The truth is you're jealous. Always have been. Dad didn't support your music career, so you're punishing him. I inked away. You don't get it, do you? This isn't about money or careers. It's about lies. All of it, every family dinner, every holiday, every moment was built on lies. And what about Mom? Jack demanded. Have you thought about what this will do to her? The words hit like a slap. I hadn't told Mom yet. Hadn't been able to face her. Your brother's right, Dad said softly. Think about your mother. My phone buzzed again, this time from Ethan. Mom's a mess. Thanks for ruining everything. The walls seemed to close in. Everyone I wanted to protect or avenge was getting hurt instead. Maybe Jack was right. Maybe this was all just selfish revenge. Take the money, Dad pleaded. Let me try to fix this. For a moment, I wavered. It would be so easy to take the check, to let everything go back to normal. To protect Mom from the pain, to stop hurting Lily and Ethan. Then I remembered Grandma's face when she showed me Sarah's diary, just days before she died. "The truth matters, Madison," she'd said, "even when it hurts." "No," I said, stepping back into my apartment. "I won't help you hide anymore, Maddie." I closed the door on their protests, sliding down against it until I hit the floor. My phone kept buzzing, messages from both families, all demanding answers or assigning blame. Through my window, I could see Dad and Jack getting into their car. Dad looked up, his eyes meeting mine for a moment. In that look, I saw something I'd never seen before: fear. He wasn't afraid of losing money or reputation. He was afraid of losing control of his carefully constructed world. And for the first time, I realized that exposing the truth might cost me everything, both the family I'd grown up with and the one I'd just found. But I couldn't stop now. The truth was already in motion, and tomorrow's meeting with the lawyer would set it in stone. I just hoped someone would still be speaking to me when it was all over. The lawyer's office felt too small for all of us. Dad sat at one end of the conference table, Jack beside him. Lily and Ethan sat opposite them, Sarah behind her children. I chose the middle, belonging nowhere and everywhere. Mom was the last to arrive. She walked in quietly, her face unreadable. "Now that everyone's here," the lawyer began, but Mom raised her hand. "Before we start, I have something to say." She pulled out a familiar-looking diary. Madison isn't the only one Grandma Turner confided in. The room went still. Dad's face drained of color. "Evelyn," he started, but she cut him off. 26 years, Robert. I've kept your secret for 26 years. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. "Not for you. For them." She gestured to all of us, me, Jack, Lily, and Ethan. Sarah stood up. "Evelyn, I never meant." "I know." Mom's smile was sad. "Neither did I. But here we are." Jack slammed his hand on the table. "This is ridiculous. Mom, you can't possibly." "I knew before your father did." Mom opened the diary. "Sarah called me first. Woman to woman. She was kind enough to give me a choice." The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. I stared at Mom, seeing her, really seeing her, for the first time. "You knew." Dad's voice cracked. "All this time." "Of course I knew. I chose to stay, to keep our family together. But I also chose to make sure those children were taken care of." She looked at Lily and Ethan. "Your grandmother helped me set up the original trust funds. Your father just maintained them." Dad collapsed back in his chair. "The money. That was you. Not all of it, but enough." Mom turned to me. "I'm sorry, Madison. I should have told you when you found the letter. But I wanted to see what you'd do." Test passed. I asked, my throat tight. "With flying colors." She smiled. "You did what I never could. Brought the truth into the light." Ethan leaned forward. "Why now? Why let it all explode?" "Because secrets don't protect anyone," Mom said. "They just delay the inevitable." "And what is the inevitable?" Jack demanded. "The destruction of our family?" "No," Lily spoke up for the first time. "The creation of a new one." The simplicity of her words hung in the air. I looked around the table. At Jack's anger, Dad's defeat, Mom's quiet strength. At Sarah's guilt and hope. At my half-siblings, who shared my blood but not my history. "The trusts will be divided equally," Mom continued. 5 ways. No more secrets. No more separate accounts. "I don't want the money," I said. "Neither do we," Ethan added, surprising everyone. Mom nodded. "Then it goes to charity." "But that's not why we're really here, is it?" Dad finally found his voice. "Evelyn, please." "No, Robert. You don't get to plead anymore." She stood up. "I kept your secret, protected your children. All of them. Now it's time for you to face what you've done." "And what about what you've done?" Jack shot back. "Lying to us all these years?" "You're right," Mom said quietly. "I'm not innocent in this. None of us are." The lawyer cleared his throat, but nobody paid attention. We were all watching Mom as she walked to the door. "The papers are drawn up," she said. "Sign them or don't." "Butim donna pretending." She looked at each of us in turn. "We all deserve better than a life built on lies." As she left, the weight of her words settled over us. Dad buried his face in his hands. Sarah wiped away tears. Jack stared at the table, his anger deflating. Lily reached across the table and took my hand. After a moment, Ethan added his. One by one, the walls between us crumbled, leaving only the truth, messy, painful, but finally free. The family we'd been had ended. What we'd become, that was still to be written. But at least now we'd write it together. 6 months later, I stood in Lily's gallery, watching her unveil her new collection. The centerpiece was a striking portrait, 5 figures, their features blurred but recognizable, connected by threads of gold and shadow. She had titled it Blood and Choice. Mom stood beside me, her hand finding mine as we studied the painting. She'd moved out of the family home 3 months ago, into a small apartment overlooking the park. She looked younger, somehow lighter. Your grandmother would have loved this, she said softly. She knew what she was doing, didn't she? Keeping those letters until the right person found them. Mom squeezed my hand. She always said you were the brave one. Across the room, Ethan was deep in conversation with Jack. Their relationship had been the biggest surprise, 2 protective older brothers finding common ground in their shared stubbornness. They still disagreed about Dad, but at least they were talking. Dad hadn't come tonight. He'd sent flowers instead, with a card that read simply, "Proud of you." Lily had added them to the display without comment. Some wounds were still too fresh for forgiveness, but the anger had faded into something more complicated. Madison. Sarah approached, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. I've been meaning to give you something. She handed me a worn leather book, another diary. Your grandmother's, she explained. She gave it to me for safekeeping, said I'd know when it was time to pass it on. I traced the cover with my fingers, remembering Grandma's hands holding this same book. Why now? Read it when you're ready. Sarah glanced at her children, our siblings, with a sad smile. Some stories need time to be understood. Professor Wilson appeared at my elbow, examining Lily's portrait. Interesting technique. The connections are clear, but the boundaries remain undefined. Like family, I said. He nodded, eyes twinkling. Art imitates life. Grace arrived late, hesitating at the door until I waved her over. Our friendship had survived, though changed. Sometimes broken things heal stronger at the fracture points. Speech. Someone called out, and Lily stepped forward, radiant in her moment. This collection is about truth, she began. Not just the truth of facts, but the truth of feelings. Of connections we choose to acknowledge or deny. She met my eyes across the room. Sometimes destruction leads to creation. Sometimes the end of one story is just the beginning of a better one. Later, after the crowds had thinned, I found myself alone with the portrait. In the quiet gallery, I opened Grandma's diary to its last entry. My dearest Madison, it read, by the time you read this, you'll understand why secrets can poison even the purest love. But remember, the antidote to poison isn't always gentle. Sometimes healing hurts more than the wound. Your father chose his path, as did your mother, as did I. Now you've chosen yours. The question isn't whether you were right or wrong. The question is what you'll build from the truth you've uncovered. I closed the book as Lily and Ethan joined me. Without speaking, they each took one of my hands. We stood there, studying our blurred reflections in the portrait's glass, 3 strangers turned siblings, connected by blood and choice and the courage to face the truth. Dinner at my place Sunday? Lily asked. Mom's teaching me Grandma Turner's lasagna recipe. Jack's coming too, Ethan added. Said he'd bring that wine you like. I nodded, feeling the weight of Grandma's diary in my bag. Some stories end with neat conclusions, all questions answered, all wounds healed. But real stories, true stories, just flow into new chapters. This was ours, still being written, one Sunday dinner at a time. Behind us, the portrait's golden threads seemed to shimmer in the fading light, connecting our shadows into something new and unfinished and full of possibility. Just like family should be.